that do it? I think we might be there. Good Meridian. How is everyone doing today? Let's get set up with a little DFK background audio. Get a little music as we get started today. Let's see. Let's go into Clayton. And then let's also go into the jeweler. What do you say? I think I kind of like that audio. Oops, maybe a little too loud. Where's the volume setting? Audio. The Beeve, Tune Fed. Hey, how are y'all doing? Let's maybe bring that music down just a tad. All right, I think that's probably good. Let me know if that music's still a little too loud. I want to make sure that it's heard. I just don't want it to be overwhelming. And like I said, it's the audio that comes through my headphones is different than the audio that y'all hear. Let's see. Let me catch up in chat. As I live and breathe. That's right, Tune Fed. What's up, Rock? Hope all is well, fam. Absolutely. I'm still getting over a little bit of a cough, which is crazy that it's still going on. This cough has been started like a day or two before we left Decentral convention, so at the end of November, and it's been going the entire month of December. It's crazy. I think I'm just about over it though. I've been trying to save my voice a little bit. It seems that the more I talk, the more I have to deal with the cough stuff. So we're just asking about you today. Glad you're okay, sir. Welcome back. Absolutely. Hopefully I will be back more regularly. Good to see both. TuneFed, hilarious on Twitter. Uh-oh, it looks like I might have to go check out a TuneFed Twitter post here. What kind of crud did you catch from BitBoy? Oh, man. Yeah, I do not know where that came from. I did when I got back to Austin, I did a COVID test, and it came up negative. I'm sure I've said this story before. So it wasn't COVID, or at least it didn't register as COVID. But, man, it's been nasty. All right, anyway, enough of that. Nothing we can do about that, and I don't like to complain for, well, I really don't like to complain for any reason, but especially when there's nothing you can really do about it. So let's go ahead and talk about some fun stuff here for DFK. What do you say? I have been poking around a little bit. I'm not going to lie. Part of the reason, I guess a small part, the main part, of course, is just because I'm still dealing with this TuneFed said crud. But I will also say that there's been a little bit of me that's been discouraged. I intended to get a lot more placed into the S-Jewel before the cutoff time, and unfortunately it's my fault. I waited till the last day to move over some jewel to get it ready for the S-Jeweler, and then right there at the last day, my sister gets back in touch with me and says, hey, I'm trying to get some stuff into S-Jewel and it's not going right. Can you help me? And I'm like, oh man, okay. And I'm sure most of y'all know that things take a little bit longer to do, especially with blockchain stuff, waiting for confirmations, clicking this, doing this, approving something, whatever it is, whatever it is. And we had an hour to go before the cutoff time. It was 10 p.m. my time. And of course the cutoff time was 11 p.m. my time. So we had an hour to go, and it took us an entire hour to do all that. And so by the time we were done, I did not get to move over a lot of my stuff. So a little discouraged about that. Yeah, it's a bummer. And one of the things I think y'all noticed, because we talked about it when I was back a couple of days ago, was the 808 FAM stuff, right? So this is one of the things that I thought I had squeaked by with. Right here at, there's this approval Joule spending thing. And if we look at this right here, I think I showed this before as well. I'll show it again right now. Transaction created a value of Clayton at 10:58. This is 2 minutes before the cutoff time on the 21st. I was trying to move over some of the 808 FAM's Joule into SJoule. And so I sent off the transaction 2 minutes before, and as I was racing, I was like, pulled up this account and I sent it, and then I went over and I pulled up another account and I tried to work on that and so on. And so I was moving so quickly, I wasn't waiting for the verifications. Like you can see here, it's 2 minutes before the cutoff time. And so I just set up the transaction and let it roll and expected it to go through, and it failed. So, and again, that was part of the bummer. And it wasn't just this account. It was a couple of other accounts too that I wasn't able to get to. And it's like, man alive, really frustrating. I think it was a total of about 10,000 Joule, right? 10,000 Joule did not get put into SJoule that I wanted to. So it wasn't like it was a tiny amount that didn't get moved over. So I was kicking myself along with that as well. Anyway, enough crying over spilt milk. That is done. One thing that it did do for me, which I am happy about, is it gave me, since that Joule did not get put into the SJouler, it does mean that I missed out on some of the raffle tickets for that. But it did allow me to put some of that into the liquidity pools, which wouldn't have been there any other way, right? So if we look at the 808 community accounts liquidity pools, it's not, I mean, it's looking a little bit better than it would have. I know that I wanted to, excuse me a second here. I do coughing and I want to mute the audio for that. Okay, so I want to try to do a lot of the transactions that we do with this account through the voting, and I always try to do a good job at that. But it was there, like I said, it was 2 minutes before the cutoff time, and I know that in the Discord we had voting for putting stuff into SJoule. So when and I tried to make that move to get it into SJoule, and then when that failed, I was like, oh, okay, well, what are we going to do with it? And rather than take another vote on what to do with it, I assumed that we would probably want to put it into the liquidity pool right away. We can take it out of the liquidity pool anytime we want. So maybe I'll go ahead and put that up for a vote a little bit later on and see what y'all want to do with it. But in the meantime, I didn't want another couple of days to go by with it sitting out of the pools waiting to set up a vote. So I went ahead and made that executive decision on my own. And that means that we've got a little bit of stuff into the Jade Bitcoin pool. So one of the things that we want to look at is the value of Jade recently. And I know that it's been down. So in a way, that's not been great, right? So, but when you look at this from 24 cents, maybe 23 cents, 24 cents, and 16 cents, That's a decent percentage of a loss there. But overall, I think we are expecting it to go back up. And in the meantime, we are making a fairly decent amount of return. Let's see what we've got right here. While I'm talking about this, TuneFed, B, if y'all are here at least, Boo, let's go. How are y'all doing? What have y'all been up to the last couple of days? I'm always interested to hear about what's new from y'all, what's been going on. Aphex is in the house also. Missed you. Yeah, absolutely. Missed y'all too. I never intend to be away for any amount of time. So... all right, and every time I get back on here, it's like, man, I enjoy doing this so much. I wish I could I need clones of me, is I think what I need. Cannot wait to have clones. I don't know. That's an interesting thought, though. Having clones of you would get the stream done. I mean, the stream would be done, but only one of the clones would get to enjoy it. I wonder how that would make the other clones of me feel, having missed that. Maybe like go on some kind of rotation where each of the clones could do the stream on rotation. I don't know. Anyway, that's not going to happen, so no need to ponder that. How are you doing, Aphex? What are you up to? So right now we're kind of discussing a little bit about what's going on with the 808 fam account and what we can do with that. So we've got about 10 Jade here. And of course the price of Jade is going down a little bit. I've been hoping to convert this, and indeed I have been converting some of this into Jewel on a daily basis. This has been, I think, 2 or 3 days now. It's not daily. For this right here, and we could claim today, although I think I want to wait and claim tomorrow. And there might be some people that might say, well, Jade is going down quite a bit over the last day or two especially, and so if you wait another day, maybe it's going to be down another even 10%. However, I'm pretty confident that Jade and Crystal are ultimately, at some point down the road, going to be over 20 cents. I don't necessarily think it's going to be this month or even in January necessarily. In fact, let's go ahead and take a look at Crystal. Hey Ferp, how are you doing? Great to see you here. Let's take a quick look at Crystal and see what it's doing lately. So it looks like we popped up to, you know, this 10-cent mark a couple of days ago. It had been a little bit higher at 11 cents here, and then we came all the way down. See, I think I might have missed this. Down to 8.5 cents. Hang on a second here. Wow. Okay. So, let's see. I think I missed, I don't know. In a way, I seem to remember it got down to 8.5 cents. I seem to remember that. So anyway, we're back down. We came up. We're back down to 9 cents in Crystal right now. And, of course, with Jade and Crystal being power tokens in each of the realms, I think we're expecting them to pretty much even out sometime soon. I'm a little surprised that Jade is going down quite so quickly right now. I think what the deal is here, of course, we still have the summoning events going on, right? And so people are summoning in Serendale, probably trying to go after a few Gen0's raffle tickets. My guess is going to be that some of those people have already summoned maybe all they want to summon. Like if you're planning on summoning 3 or 5 or 20 times, you possibly have already summoned as much as you want. And so you feel, well, I'm good. I've already summoned X amount of times. I don't need to summon anymore. And so maybe you're not so worried about Jade at this point. That's going to be my guess. And so then, of course, if 50% of the people have already summoned as much as they want, they're probably not going to summon anymore. And they're selling off their Jade, right? Then there are going to be some people that want to continue to summon after summon after summon. And yeah, Apex is saying, pretty sure that's what's happening. Yep, exactly. Yeah, I think that's, that's my speculation. I'm going to have to think that that's the right thing. And it's really good to see Apex, who I respect opinion on as well, come in and kind of agreeing, because that helps to solidify. I'm probably on the right track with that. Yeah, Jade price is still weird, but people are front running the sell-off of post-summoning event. That is true, right? And Sporco, hey, how are you doing, Sporco? Yeah, I think that is true, Apex. So we know that the summoning event is going to be over. Is it January the 7th? Let me, we can come over here and we can check what's going on. Oops, what do I want? I want this. And then we want announcements. And we want way back up to here. Let's see. Scroll back. I wish there was a calendar. I wish somebody would put up a calendar of all of the days of when things were supposed to be happening. Like even the AMAs coming out on whatever days they're coming out on, or if there's a special thing, or maybe even the streamers, like when I know that Grady and Brown Gent are starting to have regular days for things, and like Ogre Abroad is planning on having regular streaming days. That'd be pretty cool to see, like a calendar with all those different events. But especially for things like when this stuff is over, like, okay, here I think this is it. So let's see, 75 Gen 0s for summoning is going to be ending, yeah, that's what I thought, January the 7th at midnight on January the 7th. So that's what I was kind of expecting. And that means, as Apex, you're saying up there, people might be trying to front run that, even though, my goodness, January the 7th, that's 9 days in advance. I'm a little surprised they're I wouldn't want to say front running that 7 days necessarily. I think the front running, well, depending on what you mean exactly by front running, I think people are just selling off their Jade right now, because those people that aren't going to be doing any more summons are just kind of selling off. When I think of front running, and maybe I need to look up the definition of that. Let's see. Ahead of the race or competition, practice market makers of dealing on advance information provided by their brokers and investment announced before clients have been given information. U.S. practice of giving one support. Yeah. So I mean, I guess it's true. Although my personal feeling on a little bit more accurate definition of this would probably be that if I was trying to front run Jade, I think I would be doing it just like 2 or 3 days before. I'm not sure that I would personally call front running just selling off your daily Jade, although definitely I agree that that's what's going on. Yeah, but I don't want to deal with semantics on all this stuff. I mean, ultimately, yes, you're right. It is front running. So, but I think that we're going to see a lot more Jade dropping by people trying to front run, like on January the 4th, 5th, maybe even as late as the 6th. But by the 6th, you're getting pretty late, right? And so I think what we're seeing right now is just daily sell-offs, because 50% of the people aren't doing summons anymore. I'm going to expect that on January 4th, 5th, and 6th, we're going to see a lot heavier sell-offs for those people that have waited till the last minute, but they do want to be front running before the 7th or the end of the 7th. So I think we're going to see a lot bigger sell-off then. We're at 16.5 cents on Jade right now. How far are we going to go down? I'm going to suspect, unless anything crazy happens between now and January the 7th, and by crazy, I guess what I really mean is if we don't have any new events coming out between now and January the 7th, what do y'all think about this? Am I off base with what I'm about to say here? I'm going to think that Jade, the value of Jade is going to drop below Crystal. I think Crystal and Jade are going to flip. What do y'all think? So here's my thought behind that. I think that the summoning event is helping to prop up Jade more than normal right now, right? I think that's what we could say. Jade is being propped up by the summoning event. And when we take a look at Crystal then, and we notice that Crystal is down to 9 cents and Jade is at 16 cents, then we would expect an equilibrium. And so ultimately, I think we would have those about the same price. So Crystal should come up, Jade should come down, and supposedly meet in the middle. But I don't actually think that that's going to happen. And here's what I'm talking about right here. If y'all think I'm crazy or not. I personally think that Jade is going to drop below Crystal and Crystal's going to shoot up above Jade. And the reason for that is because a couple of reasons. One is I think more people probably have more invested in the Sea Jeweler, right, on Crystal Vale than in S Jewel on Serendale. And so if you've got more put in, then people are calling Crystal Vale more of a home base than Serendale. And so people are going to want more of their funds over there on Crystal Vale. The other big reason, maybe even the bigger reason, is because I think it's just more expensive. Gas is more expensive on Serendale with the clay token, right? I'm actually a little surprised at how fast clay token has been being eaten up by our bot here, who's continuing to run and do stuff, and on the Clayton blockchain. Right? I seem to be going through a lot more clay a lot faster, and because of that, I have a feeling, if that's true for me, that's got to be true for a lot of other players also. Have y'all noticed that? Have enough of y'all been playing on the Clayton blockchain that you've noticed that gas is more expensive? And so if that's true, are you going to want to pay more for questing on Serendale? Or are you going to want to move your stuff back over to Crystal Vale once all the summoning event stuff is over? And I'm going to say that most people are probably going to want to go back over to Crystal Vale. Right? So that's my thought. And so if more people are going to dump Serendale stuff, if we don't see, we expect an equilibrium between Crystal and Jade. The issue is that I'm seeing is if gas prices are more expensive on Serendale, then it's not an equilibrium. It's not an equal realm. And so you're going to have some players, certainly on Serendale, and I think that if we have some items that you can quest for example, like milkweed or swift thistle or whatever some of these items are that you can only get on Serendale, then I think you might have some questing happening over there, but probably a lot less questing. And if 90% of the game features are going to be available to us on Serendale and Crystal Vale, I think that's going to be the big thing. TuneFit says, some of us never left. Let me catch up with chat because I've been talking a long time about this, and I have not. I've been keeping up with what y'all have been saying here as I've been focused. So let's see. Pretty sure that's what's happening. Yep, exactly. Yeah, I think Apex, you are right on the ball with that. Ferp says, would you sell any leftovers you have? Would I sell any leftovers of what? Man, I forget what I was talking about. Talking about heroes, you're talking about liquidity pool stuff, you're talking about jade or crystal. So I don't think I would sell any crystal right now. Let's just run through a couple of things. Hey, Mookie, how are you doing? I don't think I'd sell any crystal right now because I think crystal is going to shoot up. I'm selling jade daily back into jewel. I'm really thinking jewel is the longer term play. So yeah, and Ferp says jade. Yes. So yeah, Ferp, definitely jade. Anytime I'm getting jade, I'm selling that to jewel, specifically jewel. I'm not selling any crystal right now. I'm just holding the crystal that I have because I'm expecting that crystal to maybe shoot up 50%. I mean, maybe it's not going to go quite that high too quickly, but I'm expecting crystal to go up, so I'm not selling that. Definitely jade is going to jewel, and jewel, I honestly do not know what to do with that right at this minute. I don't think I want to be selling jewel. I also don't, it's hard to say I want to be putting it into the liquidity pool, because if I try to put jewel into a liquidity pool, it means I'm gonna have to sell half of it for something else to pair it up for the liquidity pool. And I don't want to sell half of the jewel. I don't necessarily think I want to put it into C jewel or S jewel. I've already got quite a bit in there, right? So it's a tough one. I'm going to need to hear what some other people's input is for their jewel. So I've got 261 jewel as an example right now, right here. And in the S jeweler, we've got 3,700 jewel in S jeweler here. I can even claim 84 more, but I'm not even claiming this because I don't even know what I would do with it. So I'm just letting it ride. I don't want to spend the gas money to claim it every day. Why spend the gas money to claim the jewel every day unless I am specifically doing something with jewel to like double the value in a couple of days? Like if I was trying to get more invested in the liquidity pool, and that's the only thing that I could think of that I would actually want to be doing with that money right now. If we could get that in a 2,000% APR liquidity pool, and let's just take a quick look at that as an example, because if I did anything with the money, it would probably be liquidity pools, right? And here's why. We had this little section drawn up a couple of days ago for putting things into liquidity pool. And let's say that we've got 300 US dollars. We'll just keep it kind of small. Let's say we've got a little bit of money, and what do we want to do with that? In fact, let's even take a look at it more closely. If we've got, let's just say I've got 85 jewel right now. I don't even know honestly what jewel is right now. What the heck is jewel running at? Jewel is running at 21 cents right now, so it's a little bit up from the last time I looked. I haven't looked at jewel in I think 2 or 3 days. I guess it's actually down, huh? What's going on here? Oh, I'm just too zoomed in. Yeah, so it was down. The last time I looked, I think, was sometime around the 18th, 19th, 20th, somewhere right around in there. So it is up a little bit, although it did spike up a little bit there, and now it's been down for the last couple of days. So I'm actually surprised that jewel is... Oh, what? Hold on. That's not right. There we go, jewel. All right, so here we go. So jewel is up a little bit since hen, but it's down a little bit there. So 21 cents, yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm not unhappy with 21 cents at the moment. Sounds about right. And so let's say that we've got 21 cents and we've got 85 Joule as an example. So it's not much, right? We've got 85 Joule times 21 cents. It's 17 bucks. That's not much money at all. But let's just say that we've got $20 of USD value. And we're going to have a liquidity pool of what's one of our high liquidity pools right now? I think it's Jade and Bitcoin, or Jade and Ethereum is like 2,000. Let's go ahead and check real quick. Let's see. So Jade and Ethereum is a little over 2,000, and Jade and Bitcoin is 2,100. So let's just take 2,100 as an example. So if we plug in 2,100 APR, then daily gains are going to be $1. I mean, when you're talking about the percentage that you're getting back, so in 1 month you can double your value, or even less than a month you can double your value. Almost in 2 weeks you're going to be having double that value. That's pretty dang good. In other words, here's another way to look at it. If you can double your value, of course, we do have to remember, let's not get overly excited about that. We do have to remember 2,100 APR, it's probably going to be dropping down lower than that. And it's probably going to be dropping down really soon, actually, right? Let's see if I have a... Here we go. So 28th. So tomorrow, December the 29th, we're going to drop down to 8 Jade per second, which is half of all the money that was flowing into the liquidity pools earlier this month, right? So half of that money is coming in right now. And so what that means to most of us is that the APRs are really coming down, and certainly they are when you consider they were at 16,000 or 32,000 or something a couple of weeks ago. So they've really shot way, 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 way down. More people are getting stabilized a little bit with the pools that they have. Some people are pulling out because the APRs aren't as high as they used to be. Maybe they're trying to do better things, but here's what I'm looking at, right? If I've got $20 of money, something, whether it's Jade or Joule or USDC, or who cares what the token is, but you've got $20 US with it. What are you going to do with that? Are you just going to, as TuneFed says, just stack it and forget it? If you just sit in Joule doing nothing with it, which is an okay play, there's nothing wrong with that. But let's think about this for a minute. And really, I'm just talking out loud to myself. And if y'all pick up snippets of information that sound good, do your own thing with it. I'm just talking out loud to myself. So if I've got $20 of value in some token, do I want to put that in Joule, just let it sit? And the question has got to be, if I can put it into a liquidity pool at 2,100% APR, even knowing that that's going to drop some amount, let's even say it drops to 1,800 over the next 2 weeks, which I don't know, it's hard to say what it's going to be. I can't imagine it's going to drop a huge amount, but it will drop some, absolutely. Low Tech, hey man, how you doing? Out delivering pizzas, dropping in to say hi. Low Tech, nice. Glad that you were dropping in to say hi. I'm thinking that I'm gonna have to get back to a 9-to-5 job myself. I need to make some income, and so I might be getting back into my teaching job. But great to see you here. Mookie, if I didn't say hello, then hello. I did see you a little earlier. But I am going to catch up in chat. I know that there's a bit of chat that I still need to catch up with. So I'm still going to do that. But right now, I'm looking at this and I'm seeing that if, let's say we go down to 1,800% APR, then in 2 weeks, I should be able to get It's $1 a day. And so in 20 days, I should be able to double my money, right? In 20 days, I should be able to double my money, even at 1,800% APR as we drop. And since we're at 2,200 right now, even if we drop down below 1,800, the 2,200 that we're at right now should balance out the lower than 1,800 if indeed it does go lower than 1,800 in 2 weeks, right? We're higher now. We might be lower after by 2 weeks, but putting 1,800 into the equation hopefully will get us a good average. At any rate, that means $1 a day, right? Which ultimately means no matter how much you're putting in, let's say you're putting in $400, right? Then in 20 days, if your daily gain is about $20, and in 20 days you'll have about $400. So whatever the amount that you're putting in, whether it's $20 or $400 or $5, if you can double that money in 20 days, right, whatever it is, here's the thing to think about. And that is, let's take a look at Jewel briefly. Let's come over here and pop out to, what am I thinking of? Maybe crypto in general, CoinMarketCap, right? And we're going to look at Jewel. DeFi Kingdoms, Jewel. This thing says it's 24 cents? What? That's interesting. This says it's 24 cents, and can somebody look into this a little bit more for me? Deck Screener is saying that Jewel, or maybe even more specifically Wrapped Jewel, is 21 cents. But is it really 24 cents? Sordo says, give me one good reason why I should keep foraging on Serendale. Sordo, I think the only reason would be because you're getting some crafting items that you can't get anywhere else. The thing that I do not know about, which maybe we can have someone chime in to the chat room and give a little bit more information on, if anyone has done some math on this. If there are some items that you could forage for on Serendale that you can't get anywhere else, and I guess by that what I really mean is if you can't forage for them on Crystal Vale, then the next thing that we would want to look at is what is the price difference, or what's the cost if you wanted to buy those ingredients at the trader, or even the vendor, if you could buy them at the vendor. I don't know if some of those items you can buy at the vendor or not, but certainly at the trader you can buy some things. And so if it's likely that you're going to get more of those crafting items at a cheaper price from doing foraging, I would say that would be the reason. But honestly, Sardo, I don't know if that is a good enough reason to keep foraging, because you can always buy those crafting items at the trader, right? So the real question comes down to is it more financially beneficial to just buy them at the trader or to forage for them for yourself? And for that, I do not have the answer for you. Maybe somebody does, but for me, Sardo, I think that in my very short experience with doing questing on Serendale, it's pretty expensive compared to Crystal Vale to do any questing on Serendale. So, man, I just, I don't think I have any other good thing to say about it at this point, at this time. Maybe at some point down the road, there's going to be some kind of a change. Something's going to flip around, and then maybe at that point we will see some better stuff. Maybe if the dev team continues to see that clay is just too expensive to do questing on, you know, one of the things that could happen. Hey, Mystical Meows, how are you doing? And Dr. J and JSM Russo, hey, welcome on in. We're getting all kinds of good people popping in. Tim Butters is here too. Wow, that's a lot of new people saying hi for the first time today, just in the last couple of minutes, or last 2 minutes. Welcome on in, guys. Thanks. How are y'all doing today? What are y'all up to? Y'all ready for the new updates to the software today and then the AMA tomorrow? So let's see, what I was mentioning here was one of the things that could happen with the questing is if the dev team continues to see that people are not questing on Serendale because it is too expensive and there's not a lot of questing going on, it's possible that they could increase the rewards, increase the amount of rewards on Serendale for us to make it more, to bring back a lot of that value, right? To make it more rewarding. And that extra compensation could then be enough to make it worthwhile to quest, right? So in other words, if the drop rates were higher on a lot of that stuff, then people might say, ooh, wow, I need to go back and quest. Let's say they even dropped more tiers. Let's say the tier drop rate was higher on Serendale, right? They could always do that. And they could incentivize us to do all kinds of crazy things if they wanted to. So we always need to reserve the, I don't want to say the right necessarily. Of course, we have a right to do whatever we want. But I always want to reserve the acknowledgement that things can change in the game, right? And so we just want to be aware that just because questing might not be super fantastic today on Serendale, and specifically foraging, then I would say doesn't mean it's always going to happen. I think I always left my foragers. In fact, if we take a look right now, what realm am I in right here? Looks like I'm probably in Serendale, but let's just take a look. Yeah. So if we come over to Serendale and I look at my heroes here, I don't think I took any of my heroes for foraging and fishing over to here, but let's just take a look and see if I did or not. So fishing and foraging heroes, apply. Yeah, none. I did not bring any of my foraging and fishing heroes over to Serendale just because I knew that it was a little bit more expensive, and I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure if it was even worthwhile to do that. And indeed, it sounds to me, and from what I'm seeing, it's just not. I'm glad I didn't bring over my foraging and fishing heroes. However, I did bring over my mining and gardening heroes. Of course, that's maybe almost a no-brainer, right? If we apply this, I did bring over 11, so not even an extremely high amount, but I did bring over 11 heroes here as a mixture of gardening. In fact, let's take a closer look at that. Apply. So 6 gardening heroes, which is enough to fill up one garden, right? Enough to take care of one garden. And then 5 mining heroes, which probably I should bring over another one. So as we look at this now, I've got 8,000 jade sitting here in locked balance, right? And so it's good to take those 6 gardeners after the liquidity pool that I'm in. And I think that is just going after, if we say manage, or these. So you can see that some of these pools, like this one right here, only has like $90 in it, 46 of USDT, which means $46 worth of jewel right there. And this one here has or this one up here, Jewel and Jade has a very small amount also. So the only really decent sized pool I've got is the Jade Ethereum, the 2100 Jade right there. And so really with that one pool that has any large amount, that's what those 6 gardeners are going after. And then of course we're racking up the a lot of locked Jade. And so of course the miners need to go after that. And if we look over at, I had someone asking me about my locked crystal the other day and wanting to buy some. And if we look back at my my DFK chain, I think I've got just a little over 2,000 locked crystal. I don't have a lot. So that's, again, why my miners shouldn't necessarily be over here. I've only got 2,600 locked crystal. So most of the miners will do better trying to mine after that 8,000 locked Jade, even though that's not a lot. It's certainly better than trying to go after this 2,600 locked crystal. We can always come back to this a little bit later, I think. Or maybe merge this with some other, you know, account of mine that might have a little bit more, like maybe that test account that I've got, or the other DFK main account. Let's see what we've got. Oh, looks like a 0 over there too. So yeah, I just don't have a lot of locked crystal at all or anything. Let's catch up a little bit with chat room. Let's see. Yes, they need to have an event tracker. Yeah, for the calendar stuff we were talking about. I absolutely agree. Maybe even in game. That would be really cool if they had the calendar in the game, like events happening. Absolutely right. Yeah, Apex. I totally would love that. In fact, you know, that might be a third party. Hang on a sec. And I'm still coughing up a storm. Okay, so maybe even in maybe even as a third party developer would be some way to integrate some kind of a calendar into, like, the castle would be a good example. I would love to see in the castle something like a, is this the castle? I guess I was thinking of the castle in Serendale. Let's hop over to that real quick. Yeah, so something like here. We got lots of walls of stuff, and it'd be kind of interesting to have a wall, like a calendar on the wall for, you know, something up in here too. And so that could have upcoming events for this next month, right? So it maybe could be on a monthly basis. Today and the next 28 days or something, the next maybe like 4 weeks out, this type of a thing, or 5 weeks out. It'd be kind of interesting to see. Apex says, the other day someone DM'd me asking if summoning event was on yet. Exactly right. This is again another reason that we need a calendar, because we could easily just go and see, yes, the summoning event is going on right now. It's going on until January the 7th, through January the 7th, I guess I should say. And yeah, it's very unclear if you don't follow the announcements. It is. It's hard to find that stuff. And even just like me, if I want to verify when those dates are, I've got to come to the announcements and like scroll through and try to roll back and find exactly when it was announced and come over here and kind of show this. If I, as a streamer, am trying to show when these events are happening. So I would really love to see an integrated calendar, or even just a Google calendar, which I guess I technically could set up myself. Maybe I should set up some kind of a shared calendar that maybe I can have some of y'all. Oh, that's a good idea. I think I might do that. In fact, let's do something here real quick. What if I were to create a new calendar and then share it out with some of y'all, and then some of you can be given authority to update it and post events, and then that way it can be maintained by a couple of us. How does that sound? That sounds actually really cool. Let's do that right now. So I've got a lot of personal stuff that I don't want to show. So I'm going to do this on another screen to create a new calendar, but let's just create a new calendar. How do I do that? Create new calendar. We're going to create a new calendar. We're going to call it DFK calendar. Description. Upcoming events for DeFi Kingdoms. And create this calendar. All right, so it's successfully created. Now I'm going to go share it. So if a couple of y'all want to pass me your Gmail, and really I guess this is for a couple of y'all that are that I know pretty well, like Zabu, TuneFed, Low Tech, Mystical Meows, Zabu. Some of y'all I've seen a little bit more in here. I would feel comfortable giving y'all editor permissions on the calendar. So if you want that, then send me a I don't know if you want to post your Gmail address into chat right here. And if not, then send me a Discord DM with your Gmail address, and I can add you into the calendar stuff. And let's see if I can, how can I show this without showing like all my other personal calendar things? Let's see. Make it available to the public. Access permission for the events. Making your calendar public will make all events visible to the world, including via Google search. Are you sure? For this calendar, yes, that's fine. Get a shareable link. So here is a calendar. I think. Tell you what, maybe I should look at it first and just verify that it's not going to do anything too weird. Oh man, it's got all my other stuff in there. Tell you what, if somebody wants to send me a Discord, a private Discord message, I will like to try some things out with you first, a little bit more privately, before I just hand this off to the world. So someone wants to help me with this calendar real quick. TuneFed says you will. Yeah, just send me a private Discord message, TuneFed, and I'm going to send you a link for something. Awesome. So, TuneFed, there's a link. And what I want you to do is just take a look at that calendar and see, is that showing a lot of my personal stuff too, or is that just for DFK calendar? And then let's add an event on there too. So let's have today, let's add to the DFK calendar. We're going to add a new event, and let's say there's an event. Title is going to be first DFK test event, and it is like 4 p.m. today. It does not repeat, all this kind of stuff, and then say save. All right. So TuneFed, I've added a DFK event for today at 4 p.m. Can you see that on that calendar? And then also, hopefully that link that I gave you isn't sharing like all my other personal stuff, right? Because of course, anytime that I'm looking at the calendar stuff, all of my own personal things are coming up there. I don't think that y'all are going to be able to see all that, but I just want to be sure. I think that anyone that's already using Google Calendar is probably going to see their own events mixed in with the DFK stuff. That's what I'm thinking is going to happen. That's what I would expect to happen. Let's see. No personal info. You say you can see it. You intend for me to be able to add something as well. Okay, so yeah. So TuneFed, if you want to give me your Gmail adder, and then I can add you. I can give you permission to that calendar, TuneFed. I think we're gonna need to be logged in. You probably haven't limited. Yeah, I haven't added the functionality yet. I think I need your Gmail address, TuneFed, which I don't think you've sent me yet. And then once I have that, I can add that as a thing. And then once that's confirmed, then I think we're good to go. All right, so if no other personal stuff is coming out, Control C, Control V, let's just drop that link in here. So I'm creating a DeFi Kingdoms calendar, which we're gonna just drop that link right into chat right there. And I'm gonna hope that some of us are going to be able to modify this a little bit. All right. So TuneFed, I've got your Gmail address. Let's copy that in, and let's give you permission on this calendar as well. So settings and sharing, we're going to make all events public, so anyone should be able to see that calendar. We're going to add people. We're going to add TuneFed, and we're going to make TuneFed a make changes and manage sharing. So we're going to give you pretty much the maximum whatever you can do there, and we're going to say send. So TuneFed, you should now be able to modify this calendar, and so hopefully that's going to be cool. And then so that also means, Zabu, if you want to have access to the calendar and be able to update it, Aphex, if you want to, I feel comfortable enough with you that I would be open to you being able to modify the calendar as well. And I don't know who else is out there that might be interested in updating the calendar, but if you are, send me a private message in Discord. And all right, low tech, I think you're going to be okay also. So let me add you in there. And let's see, that's going to be make and change, sharing, and send. All right. Okay, so unfortunately, I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to be able to show the calendar. Messed in a bit, good idea. Yeah, absolutely. So I don't want to do too much right at the moment. I wonder if I can. It's like there's so much personal stuff in all my calendars. I'm going to need to find out how I can just display one calendar without even showing the other calendars that I even own. Like, I don't even want to show the names of the other calendars that I have. Oh, maybe that'll be good enough. Okay, so all right. Maybe this is going to be okay. I think it's probably going to be all right. So we've got a calendar here, and I think I want to share this link. In fact, copy link. We're going to put it in the Discord for a DFK thing. So in Darlantis Discord for DeFi Kingdoms, I'm putting together a new DFK Google Calendar for us all to use and look at for hopefully seeing all the upcoming DFK events and so on, right? So oops, here's the link. Edit. Here's the link. Control V, paste. All right. So hopefully this link that's in the DeFi Kingdoms Discord for Darlantis now has that shareable link. You should all be able to click on it and see stuff that's happening, right? And one of the things that I want to be doing here is doing things like coming over here into the DeFi Kingdoms announcements. And as we saw before, we've got like AMA stuff happening. We've got reminders. Should pin that message in Discord. Ooh, you're right. I should pin that message in Discord. So let's see. Let's make sure that we've got this little message right here. So the summoning should be going until the end of January the 7th at PM. So Control C, let's add that event in. So there's a summoning event happening right now. Actually, the summoning event started sometime, like maybe, let's just say December the 4th. I don't know exactly what day it started. But let's just add Serendale summoning event as an example. And it started from, let's just say December the 4th. We can change that if anyone wants to have an exact date, but it's going to go through January the 7th. Not all day necessarily, but how do I modify that time specifically? December 4th at 4:30 through this. I think we want really 11, like 59. How do I change that? All right, and then does not repeat. Find a time. DFK. I guess green is good for like the crystal or the jewel color. It's kind of that, has that nice green. Maybe we'll, I wonder if I could actually do a customized color. I'll look into that a little bit later. It's not too big of a deal. I'm not. And then add a description. So let's add a description here, and I'm just going to put paste. So 75 Gen 0s for Serendale Summoning Event Raffle, starting at launch and ending January the 7th at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time, which is actually 10:59 my time. So I really want to change this to 22:59 my time, right? Central Time. All right. So I think that that's going to be good. It does not repeat. Find a time, add guests. I think that's all that we want. And then we're going to say save. Let's see what more options are. Oh yeah, this makes it look a little bit better, where we can see the to date and the time. We don't need notifications. We're not busy, we're free, available here all this time. Default visibility. All right, let's just. All right, so then save. All right, so now we can see with the green line there that Serendale Summoning Event is happening all the way up through all of that time, right? Here's Bloater Appreciation Day. Exactly right. Did added by TuneFed. Sweet. Nice. I'm glad that we got Bloater Appreciation Day. And for that, you know what I think that I want to do? I'm going to edit that. Thanks for adding that, TuneFed. I think for this, I want to add a notification like 2 days before, just to, you know, to say, hey, it's coming up. And I think this might be adding it just for me, not for everybody, I'm going to assume. But I want a notification that that's coming up so I can do something a little bit more interesting with it. And we got a nice yellow color for bloaters, so awesome. Very cool. And then I think I'm going to say save. Actually, it does repeat. So, TuneFed, I think that repeats every year. Is it December the 29th every year? So annually on December the 29th, I think is what we want to set up. Is that right? And then I think other than that, I want to put, you're just doing a test on that one? Cool. Yeah, we can change that to whatever day we want. But there's a pumpkin thing. What was it? Sentient Pumpkin International Bloater Day. Let's just check on that real quick here, right? It's November the 28th. Okay, so it's November the 28th. Let's make sure it's on that. And then I also want to put this link, Control C. And then let's come over to insert link. And then like maybe that's good enough. Say okay. So now we got a link in there. Yeah, this is a really good idea. I'm glad. I've been wanting to do this, and I'm glad that it just popped in that, you know, let's just do it today. Yeah, this is going to be a really good idea. So we got International Bloater Day. We've got the link for it. And November the 28th, I'm going to change the date for us on that. November the 28th, all day, annually. Okay, I think that's good. And then we can just leave it at this for now. Let's see. We could even put something like in 2021 on this day, we was our very first International Bloater Day. Any more info? I would like to maybe have, if this page, like I don't think that this page really goes into a lot of description or definition. And if it does, that's great. Maybe we could have this page get updated itself so we don't need to put stuff in the calendar. But I think that's good and cool enough for now. And other than that, let's go ahead and save it. Right. So very good. November the 28th. Okay. And then we also want to put in Discord. So S-Dual snapshot ended right there on December 21st. I don't know if it's overly important that we do that. Let's check out other new announcements, and we can add some new stuff here. So there's Serendale launch day stuff that we've already had and it's already gone by. Tune in Tuesday for our first official AMA with Wisdom Labs. So Tuesday the something or another, right? I don't know if we want to go back and put that, although we could. 3 p.m. Eastern time. On the 9th. All right. So like on Tuesday right here, I guess it was the 13th. DFK AMA with Wisdom Labs. And when was that? 3 p.m. Eastern. p.m. Eastern is going to be 2 p.m. my time Central. All right, we're just going to say save that. So at least that got saved in there. And let's see what else we got. Let's find some of the new stuff so we can start plugging in new things. So everyone, it's Tuesday. This is Tilt Proof Tuesdays. I guess we should always put Tilt Proof Tuesdays in the calendar for every Tuesday, right? So do we know what time that starts? See, this is 9 p.m. on Tuesday. Is that always happening? I thought Tilt Proof Tuesday normally started earlier in the day. But to be honest, I feel like it's almost always, at least for the past month, it's been later in the day. There's 4 p.m. What else we got? Tilt Proof Tuesday coming in at... See, what? December the 7th at 12:07 a.m. So that came on Wednesday. Tilt Proof Tuesday started on Wednesday after midnight. I'm skeptical. All right, let's just see what else we got here. Tilt Proof Tuesday, again, 9:40 p.m. Yeah, I feel like it's so much later. in the day. Okay, good enough. Let's just say it's Tuesdays. And we're going to add tilt proof Tuesdays. All day, it repeats weekly on Tuesdays. And we probably want to check the contests. So maybe I can give a link to this, like invite people, copy a link, like just copy that link. More options, and just drop that. Maybe that'll be good. All day, every week on Tuesday, we'll get you save. All right. So now we got Tilt Proof Tuesdays every Tuesday for people to be made aware of that. Let's put in announcements. Let's see. Did I jump in here myself with this? I think I need to just make sure. 420 tiers react ends tomorrow. Okay, I guess I ought to get in there myself. I missed all of these other things, guys. I don't know what I was thinking on Christmas Day, or I guess even a day after Christmas. This is on the 26th, I guess, AM. I was not on Discord at all. I had no idea that this stuff was going on. Looks like they were giving away all kinds of stuff on Discord, and I totally missed all of it. No idea. Oh, I guess I got in on some. I got in on a couple of them, but most of them I did not get in on. All right. Let's go ahead and take a look at to be online or not to be online. Wishing everyone a very Merry Christmas. Some fresh alpha. Check out the Medium article below for combat pre-alpha, including keywords and genetic traits. Ooh, wow. I have not seen that either. Need to definitely take a look at this. Let's open that up in a new tab. We'll come back and read this. I'm sure that all of y'all have read this already. If not, I'll drop it into chat real quick. So there's a link into chat for combat keywords and traits. And we got a little video there of some interesting combats. I think we've all seen that video before. Combat keywords, things like action, AoE, backfire, banish, battle, berserk, bleed, blind, block, burn, on and on and on and on. Oh no, is there a, did I see Sanjo hair? Oh no. Yeah, okay. Let's see, genetic traits. Basic 1, basic 2 is things like poison blade, blinding wind, and all that other kind of stuff. And then passive traits, things like duelist, clutch, foresight, and so on. And I think there's been someone, maybe I want to say something like either Inner Grove or ADFK or Bogside Chat, or one of those people doing some of those videos went through, and I think went through each of these names and gave some estimations on what they thought these things would actually do. It was a pretty interesting video. I like to hear speculation and all that kind of stuff. See, Mr. Turtlebutt says 2 gardeners filled the quest, not 6. Mr. Turtlebutt, I'm talking about for a 24-hour period, right? So if you've got 2 gardeners that go out per quest, and each of those gardeners, or each of those, that pair of gardeners that goes out, they go and they do gardening for what, 4 hours, and then they come back and they have to rest for 8 hours or something, right? Well, if they, that's a total 4 plus 8, the 4 hours of them questing and the 8 hours of them resting is 12 hours. So those same 2 gardeners will be ready to go again in 12 more hours. So every 12 hours, that same pair of gardeners is going to be able to go. But you don't want to wait 12 hours between those gardeners going and then waiting for the next 12 hours before they go again, waiting for the next 12 hours. And if those gardeners are gardening every 4 hours and then they're done, then after the first 4 hours, you want another pair to go from the 4th hour to the 8th hour. And then you need another pair to go from the 8th hour to the 12th hour, right? So that's 3 pairs of 2 gardeners each. And what's 3 times 2? That's 6 gardeners. So you need a total of 6 gardeners going in 3 groups of 2 each. And then that is where that's where I'm getting the number for 6 gardeners per garden, fully questing out over a 24-hour period, because of course they'll go in rotation then. Okay. Yeah, so that's where I get the number 6 from. But you are correct in that we don't send 6 gardeners to a gardening quest at the same time. That's correct. All right, so looks like there's lots of other keywords in there and all of that kind of stuff here. So anyway, I dropped the link into chat. Y'all can go check that out. Let's see. Let's see what else is in here. Everyone's dropping a note to say the old jeweler vested. Just dropping a note that the old jeweler vested Jade and Jewel have now been distributed to their respective S-Jewel, C-Jewel holders. We'll be doing these quarterly with 3 more to come over the next 3 quarters. Wow, nice. Okay, so I think we got some good drops over the last couple of days. I do remember hearing something about that and even seeing something in my own jeweler. New features. So this was done when? When did that go out? December 21st. So this was a week ago. They added some new features, which I'm pretty sure I've read all of this already, but I'm not positive I have. So let's just double check. Added hero daily duels for limit. Added hero daily duel limit. Reach duel type when selecting heroes. Okay. Coming up, as promised, here's a quick list of additional items that are in progress and a reminder that we will be moving away from a set release schedule and instead launching large features when they are properly tested and ready for prime time. So unfortunately, I don't know if we can add this to our calendar then. I was thinking about adding like the normal Wednesday release days for upcoming releases, but because they're not going to have regular release schedules, then it's probably not important to add release Wednesdays to our calendar, right? Serendale Duels and Raffles is coming up. So Serendale Duels and Raffles is coming. Level 10 profession questing and pet feeding and utility is coming up pretty soon. Man, I bet everyone's going to start feeding some pets. That's going to be pretty expensive in a way. I'm glad I haven't hatched a lot of pets yet. But you definitely want to get prepared. If you have hatched pets, you definitely want to get prepared to be feeding those pets on a regular basis. And even if you haven't hatched them, I would really say you want to get prepared with the tiers and all that kind of stuff ahead of time, because those tiers, as we've seen many people talk about already, I think tiers are going to become extremely valuable over the next month or 2, especially. They're definitely going to shoot up in value, and I think it might already be a little too late. Let's take a quick look at DFK tiers. DFK tiers. I think if you are late on this, you're already late. Let's see. Yeah, so if we look at the tiers costs over the last, what, month, I guess, since the 11th, look at that. It was down at 0.0038. And so it has really shot up a lot. We're at 0.16 right now. That's huge. That's like almost a 400% increase. 400%, 4x your money. 4x your value. Or another way to look at it is if you did not buy enough tiers to do the things that you want to do, you're having to spend 4 times the amount to get those same tiers. Like if you need 100 tiers, you're gonna have to spend 4 times the amount now to get those 100 tiers than if you had bought them earlier this month. So yikes. If you're trying to sell tiers, you can get 4 times your money, but that's painful. Zelf, hey Zelf, how you doing? What are you up to today? See, talking to Zabu there, resisted to name Mary Jane. Oh, it's too obvious, right? Oh man. Just lurking while working, Mr. Delbus is nice. Glad to see you here. All right, so let's continue on with the calendar. So guys, I am creating a DFK calendar for events, including things like when the summoning event is started and when it ends, so y'all can see when it's going to end. We have other things that are happening, National Bloater or International Bloater Appreciation Days, the Tilt-Proof Tuesdays, which are obviously on Tuesdays. But when upcoming things, I also want to add like when streamers are having certain events and all that kind of stuff can go in here too. So if y'all want to see what some of these upcoming events are, you should be able to come into a calendar and see when all that stuff is going to happen, right? Let me copy this link one more time and paste it into chat. So if y'all haven't been here for a little while, I think that link in chat brings you to this calendar, which y'all can save and so on. Also, the calendar is put into the Darlantis Discord. So if you go into Darlantis under the DeFi Kingdoms section, DeFi Kingdoms, then we've got a link to the calendar in there. It looks like some people have already fired it up. So that's where we're at right now, what I'm kind of working on. Let's see. Third Shift Millionaire. On pet feeding, do you think that each type of pet will feed based on egg color? Example, blue eggs feed on ragweed or bloaters. Interesting. So I don't know for sure if like a blue pet would feed on ragweed. I do think that some pets will have a specific meal, a type of meal that they want. But if what you're asking is if a pet coming from a blue egg, or that an egg that you can get from foraging, right? So when you go foraging, questing, or for fishing, and you're pulling up those eggs, I don't know if the pet food that you're gonna have to feed a yellow egg or a green egg is gonna come from the same quest types that you're getting, right? Let me see if I can say that a little bit better. If we come over here to the quest list, for example. So if you're doing fishing quests and you're pulling up eggs from, in fact, maybe it's going to be even better for me to show. Oh man, infographic is still not up. Man, that's too bad. All right, so let's come back over here. So the eggs that you're getting from gardening, I don't know if the eggs that you're getting from gardening are going to, or the, let's say the items that you get, the loot that you get from, let's just go to foraging. So the loot that you get from foraging, I don't know if that's going to be the same loot that you're going to feed the foraging pets with, right? That I don't know. It wouldn't surprise me if there was some kind of a mixture, right? So let's say that you had a pet that came from a green or yellow or blue egg, and it wouldn't surprise me if some of the food came from different types of questing. Like you had to do some kind of gardening quest to get the right loot item to feed a pet that you got from the foraging egg, right? That would not surprise me at all. I could definitely see that, because maybe they would want to, you know, shuffle things around. They want to mix things around a little bit. But I could also see that the loot that you get from foraging would be the same loot that you would feed the pets from the foraging eggs. I could see that too. That would just seem a little more, well, I'm just going to use the word lame, a little bit non-interesting. Yeah, you have a foraging, you got an egg from foraging, and you feed it with the same stuff from foraging. I could see that, but it wouldn't be quite as interesting. I could also see that there could be a collection of different types of things that you could feed pets. Maybe some food or types of food would be more filling than others. And in that case, there could even be a mix. So maybe, like, let's say that you had say you had stag as just a very specific example. I could see that stag could be fed something from gardening quests, but maybe also something from foraging quests. And maybe the type of food that you feed it would maybe have slightly different results, whether it means that the pet is going to be full for longer, or maybe even give some kind of a temporary boost in something, which I don't even know what I would say yet. You know how, as an example, spinach has a saying that it makes you strong, right? It helps your muscles grow, 'cause I guess the protein. And carrots are good for eyes and things like that, right? So there could be different foods that are helpful for different other ways. If they really wanted to make it that complex, I don't personally think they're going to make it that complex. Sylph says, Rock, what's your thoughts on jade dropping in price? If you're already commented, I'll catch it up later. Yeah, so I have commented on that already. I do think I have an interesting comment, so I'll just go ahead and say it again real quick. But I had a pretty in-depth comment on it earlier on in the stream if you want to listen back. So the short version, which I think is still interesting, is I think jade is going to drop. You know, that crystal and jade should be in equilibrium. And so jade is going to drop and crystal's probably going to rise in value. But personally, I think that jade is going to stay dropped lower than crystal. And crystal is going to be a little higher than jade in value, at least right now, unless the devs make a change in the game. And the reason is because I think less of us are going to want to be playing in Serendale, because at least right now, it's more expensive to go on quests. And the quest loot, unless they raise the loot drop rate, or unless they incentivize questing more on Serendale, which they could, but if they don't, then I think most of us are going to quest on Crystal Vale rather than Serendale. As an example, I've got all of my foragers and my fishers stayed in Crystal Vale, and they're only foraging and fishing in Crystal Vale just because it's cheaper to do it there, right? I've moved over some of my gardeners and some of my miners over to Serendale just because I've got so much locked jade, and all of the liquidity pools that I'm in right now are on Serendale as well. So some gardeners and some miners are on Serendale. But other than that, I don't really want to quest with the high quest fees or the gas fees on Serendale. So because that's happening right now, and because I think so many people are more bullish on Jewel itself and wanting to hold Jewel and getting Jewel rather than Jade or Clay or something, then I think that more of us are going to be, you know, you keep hearing people say being Jewel maxis these days. I think I've heard Grady say it, Brown Gent say it. I'm not sure who else has said it specifically, but I remember that Ogre Abroad was having a stream with them not too long ago, and I forget if he actually said it or not, or maybe just agreed that Jewel is a longer term play. But a lot of people have been saying recently that, you know, I hear the word Jewel Maxi. And if that's what you want to call being or having a really good feeling about Jewel long term, then I would say that's probably is correct. And so I think having Jewel, which means more focus on Crystal Veil, is going to be better anyway and cheaper to play. Then I have a feeling that Jade is going to just drop a little bit lower than Crystal. What, 10% lower maybe, I guess? If the devs don't want that, if they want to keep everything at a lot more parity, if they really do want parity as opposed to just whatever, they could incentivize questing a little bit more on Serendale. A good way for them to do that would be something like have slightly higher egg drop rates or slightly higher tier drop rates on Serendale. And if they did, and people really wanted those, then they would go and start questing more on Serendale anyway, even with the higher gas fees, because they want those tiers and those eggs and all that kind of stuff, and they're willing to pay a little bit more in gas to get those higher drop rates, right? So the devs could do it. It absolutely could change. But I think as far as right now goes, we're probably going to see a lower price of Jade than Crystal. And where that's going to meet, I think Crystal right now is at 9 cents. Jade is at 16 cents, I think. We can come take a look at this again real quick. So if we take a look at Jade right at the moment, Jade is at 16 cents and Crystal is at 9 cents. So where are those two going to meet? That's still right now about a 7-cent difference. So if you're talking about 4 cents, like each of those moving 4 cents, let's say, then you're talking about a 13-cent Crystal and about a 13-cent Jade if they both move about equal. And so I might put Crystal at maybe 14 cents and maybe Jade at 13 or 12 cents for something after January the 7th, let's say. And I'm saying January the 7th because if we look at the calendar, then we can see on January the 7th, that is when the Serendale summoning event ends, on January the 7th. And so for that, I think we're probably going to see more people selling Jade, but they probably want Jade up through the Serendale summoning event up through January the 7th. That is my speculation on that. Anyway, I think it's a good guess for that. Yeah, I think Third Shift Millionaire, you probably got a good idea for that. I ask because I think the type of food pets eat will go up. I think the type of food that pets eat will go up. Oh yeah. Yeah, if you're talking about, like, let's say they eat bloaters, and if you're talking about the price of bloaters going up because they're going to be eating bloaters, then I think so. However, I personally think that different pets are probably going to eat different foods. I could be totally mistaken on that, and maybe there's going to be one food type for all the pets to eat. But if I was a game dev, that's not what I would do. If I was a game dev, I would have different pets liking and preferring different types of food, and maybe even if I had the time and if I wanted to make the game more interesting, I would actually have each pet could eat 2 or maybe 3 different types of food, and then each pet would get an advantage of eating specific types of food. Like maybe bloaters would be okay. It would give it one food, a one food plus, Whereas maybe ragweed would give it a food +2, and maybe milkweed would give it a food +3, that type of thing, right? Or maybe even some specific item would give the pet an extra temporary ability, right? Temporarily, the pet can give you an additional plus to your mining skill or whatever, as long as you're feeding it a certain type of food. If you feed this pet, if you feed this specific pet a specific type of food, then maybe it can add 1 to its bonus for the hero that it's working with. That's what I would do if I was a dev, right? We don't know until it comes out, so it's just speculation. If they want to go the easy route, if they want to go the super easy route, then all the pets will eat a single type of food, and then yes, that will definitely go up in value. Yeah, Ogre did say Jewel and Heroes are the best bet financially long-term, and I definitely agree with that. So Heroes definitely good for long-term. I think Jewel is also good for long-term. I think that something else we need to keep in mind is probably liquidity pools are going to be pretty good also. Right now, they're still at 22, or at least Jade Bitcoin is 2,200% APR. I don't know if y'all caught my little spiel on that, but if 1,800% APR is doubling your money in 20 days, then man, where else are you going to double your money in 20 days? Did I finish my talk, or did I get sidetracked off of that earlier? So what I was going to show was, some of us are looking at Jewel, right? Some of us are saying, hey, I want to hold Jewel because I think Jewel is going to do well. Let me ask you this, guys. Do you think that Jewel is going to go from 21 cents to 42 cents by the middle of January? Let's ask that question. Do you think that Jewel is going to go from 21 cents to 42 cents? So it's going to go from here. Let's see if I can draw a line. You think that it's going to go from here to here. Let's zoom in a little bit. All right, here we go. Do you think that Jewel is going to go from here up to here by the middle of January? Look at this. Here's November, October, September, August, July. Jewel has not been at 42 cents since June. Now, things could change quickly over the next 20 days, but let me ask you this again. Do you think that Jewel is going to double in value by the middle of January, January the 15th? If you do not think that's going to happen, and looking at this chart right now, I do not think that Jewel will get up to 42 cents by the middle of January. And if I don't think that that's going to happen, and if I've got 85 Jewel, like I do in the jeweler over here, what am I going to do with this Jewel that I do not want to, I don't want to sell the Jewel necessarily, right? But if this value right here can double by January the 15th, do I want to keep it in Jewel as Jewel? If I don't think that Jewel is going to double in value by January the 15th, because I could put it in an 1,800% APR, and in 20 days, it'll double in value. Where else am I going to double my value in 20 days? Is a hero going to double its value in 20 days? Is Jewel going to double its value in 20 days? Is Crystal going to double its value in 20 days? Crystal, I don't know. Crystal, I do think could go up. But if we look at this, and let's invert this pair and zoom in again. Crystal is at 9 cents. Do I think Crystal could go to 18 cents by January? Oh, wow. I actually do think Crystal could double in value by the middle of January. I do actually think that. I think Crystal could. But I'm a little scared to convert Jewel into Crystal in hopes that Crystal's going to double its value by then. I feel much more confident that putting $20 of USD value, whether it's Jewel, you know, convert your Jewel, or convert from Jewel, or whatever you have value in right now, if you put that into a liquidity pool for 20 days, I feel much more confident that I will double my value in 20 days doing it that way than buying Hero or holding Jewel alone or anything like that, right? Let's see. Sabu says, still listening. Let me find the wallet that mooned bloaters 11,000%. Oh, man. Yeah. Two noobs. Hey, how you doing? Sir Mir says, yeah, I was just going to argue. Don't you think Jade Pool APR will hold up price compared to Crystal for a bit longer? Emissions are looking good until the end of February. Yeah, Sir Mir. Even though, let's come back over here and take a quick look at this. So here we see that tomorrow, right? Today is the 28th of December. Tomorrow on the 29th of December, the Jade emissions is going to drop to 8 Jade per second. Right now, it's at 10 Jade per second. It's going to drop down to 8 Jade per second emissions across all the pools, right? And that is down from 16 Jade per second when the pools, I should say on December 8th, when it came down to 16 Jade per second. Now, tomorrow, it's going to drop to 8 Jade per second. That's a 50% drop in the rate of emissions that we have now. But if you look at from now, meaning tomorrow, if you look at from now until the middle of February, you're only going to drop another 50% of value. It's going to take you all those weeks. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks more. Still dropping, but dropping more slowly, right? To another 50%. I don't really know how that's going to affect the liquidity pools necessarily, because the liquidity, the APRs and liquidity pools, it's really actually very hard to speculate on what those are going to be. And part of the problem is because the APRs are based on like 5 different parameters that are all kind of changing and moving. So one of the things that the APR is based on is how much value is in this particular pool, right? 244,000. It's also based on the pool allocation percentage, right? How much of the total value that the dev team is giving up, which is from this number right here. So the 8 Joule per second, or the 480 Jade per minute, 480 Jade per minute, that is getting split as 10% is going into this pool, 10% is going into this pool, 10% into this pool, 5% into here, 15% into here, and all of these pool percentages total up to be 100%, right? That's where all those percentages go. So that whole 480 Jade per minute gets split up by the pool allocation percentages, right? And then that amount, so if we have 480 Jade per minute, and this pool right here gets 10% of that, that's 48 Jade per minute goes into this pool. And then you have to see how much funds are in there, and then how much you have personally, how much US dollar value you have personally compared to this amount. Ultimately, that's what gets you the APR right there. So as more people start adding in here, and as they add their own money, which dilutes your amount, then you're going to get less of the 48 Jade per minute that's coming out here, right? So anyway, what I'm really getting at right now is that more and more people could be adding money to some of these pools. That's true. It could dilute your pool even more. But here's the biggest thing that we want to look at when we are considering these APRs and how much these APRs are going to drop over the next, let's say, 7 weeks. And that is, they're at 2,100 right now, 2,000% APR. The other one was at 2,100% APR, right? 2,100 again, 2,000. So how much are those going to drop? If you do not have a lot of people adding a lot more money into these pools, in fact, you might even see people taking out of these pools as these percentages start to drop a little bit more. Why would they drop? Just by normal? Because less value is getting pulled from that, 480 per minute. But then next week, 420. Next week is 360. So less and less Jade is going to be available per minute from those pools. And as some people find better things or different things to do with their money, they might pull out of those pools, right? If they do, then maybe your amount that's in here is going to be a higher percentage of this 246,000. And so your APR might actually go up. My guess is that more people, 2,000% APR, 2,100% APR is a massive, if you can double your money in 20 days with a 2,100% APR, and I don't personally see any other way to double my money in 20 days. Now that I've said this, of course, if word gets out, then more people might realize, hey, Rock's right on that. I'm not giving financial advice. It's very easy that people could get wrecked by doing this. The value of Jade could drop tremendously. And if you put $10,000, if you converted $10,000 of Jewel, for example, into Jade, right? And then Jade drops by 50%, you've lost a lot of value there, right? So be careful. But for me, if I'm looking at $20, if I could double that value, even if Jade drops by 50%, which I don't think Jade's going to drop by 50%, but let's just say it does. That $20 of value, half of it is going to go into BTC or whatever other token we have. USDT, BTC, ETH, half of that value is going to go into the other token. And so only half is going to go into Jade, which might drop 50%. So let's say that only $10 of this $20 total value goes into Jade, and that $10 of value drops by 50%, because let's just take a wild assumption that Jade would drop by 50%. Don't think it's going to. Let's just say it does. Then that $10 of value drops to $5. So now instead of 10, you've got $5 of value. But if you are making $1 every single day, and if you're immediately converting that from Jade back into either USDC or USDT or something, or like a stable coin, or if you're converting that into Jewel on a daily basis and not keeping it in Jade, then even though the value of Jade could be coming down a little bit per day, you're still going to be getting a decent amount of dollar USD APR. Convert that into Jewel on a daily basis, and in about 20 days, or even if it takes you 30 days, even if it takes you 50% longer, 30 days, still in a month, you've doubled your money. Where are you getting that? Where else are you doubling your money in 30 days? Tell me anywhere else where I can double my money in 30 days. And that's even at a 50% slower rate than what I'm seeing in my spreadsheet here, which is already assuming that the APR is going to drop down to 1,800% from what it's at right now, 21 or 2,200%. Right, so I'm already trying to be super conservative with this. is. So it's possible that other people could hear what I'm saying. And if a bunch of other people jump into these pools, that's going to lower the APR for everybody as well, right? So, I mean, that is one bad thing that could happen. And so the APRs that we're looking at right now will get overly diluted, and then this percentage will quickly drop down to 500% APR. And then, of course, it takes a lot longer to get your daily gains back up to meet that, right? So, anyway, that is what I'm looking at right there. Let's catch up in chat and see what's going on here too. Yep, so I think that the, ultimately, as Sir Mir is saying, I personally think that the APRs are going to remain relatively high for a long enough period that it's going to be worth it to stay in the pools. Yeah. And as Sir Mir says, until the end of February, and that is kind of what I looked at here. We kind of looked at from now, which is really tomorrow, until the middle of February, where it's going to drop another 50%. And so here's what I'm kind of getting at with the 50%. I don't think I actually got to the point. The point is that unless we have a bunch of people putting in a huge amount more money into here, then I wouldn't expect these APRs to drop below 1,000% APR in the next month. Like over through the month of January, halfway into February. I wouldn't expect that because the amount of jade continuing to be pumped into this is only going to be dropping by 50% over the next 7 weeks. And the reason or the way that we get our high APRs is the amount of money coming into these pools. All right? And of course, with the amount of money that people have invested in there. So a couple of ways that it could get lowered faster, a couple of ways that it could go down below 1,000% in those 7 weeks, is if a bunch of people realize, hey, I'd rather have even 1,000% APR than something else, and they decide to, a whole bunch of people decide to pile into these pools and dilute it even more. In that case, then the APRs can go down below 1,000%, and then it hurts everybody who's in the pools. But I'm going to suspect that I don't necessarily even want to say that. I think some people are going to start looking, and if there are other large streamers and content creators that pick up on this and get the word out to more people, like even when, what was it, Brown Gent, Grady, and Ogre Abroad were doing a stream a couple of days ago, and they mentioned something about the price of tiers on their live stream. And the price of tiers shot up, spiked up like crazy, right? I think most of us have seen that live stream they did a couple of days ago, right? Was it DFK Tiers and Jewel? I don't know if that was it or not. Yeah, I think here. So on Christmas Day, I think it was this thing right here, where DFK Tiers, they were doing the live stream, and they were mentioning about, Grady came in, and Grady started talking about, oh my goodness, this is a big deal. Tiers are going to become massively expensive. And then, of course, there's a huge amount of buys. So if some live streamers like that come in and start talking about those APRs still being pretty high, they could definitely affect the markets. I think I don't have enough viewers myself that the people watching me aren't going to spike markets like this. Sandwich Punch says, cue someone saying, I fudded tears. Exactly right. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, it's easy to have some, like Sandwich Punch. If Sandwich Punch, he's got enough of a following and enough respect in the community, right? That if Sandwich Punch says, hey, here's my viewpoint on whatever it is. Same thing with Grady and Ogre Abroad and Brown Gent and any of these other people that have a lot of respect in the community. Then a word about anything there can make a price spike. Because you got to think right now, one of the problems, I think, and I'm going to use the word problem, that we have in this community right now is the fact that we're so small, right? We're such a small community of people that we're all pretty smart, I think, for the most part. I think there's some of us that definitely have a lot more insight. I would not say that I'm someone with a huge amount of insight, right? I pick up a lot of things from other people. I might have a good bit of insight every now and then. But I think ultimately there are people out there in the community that have a lot more insight than I do. And so a lot of us, when we hear things from other people, might say, oh, you know what? That sounds good. That sounds right. That sounds reasonable. And we might all jump on the bandwagon. When we've got a small amount of people in our community that all kind of feel the same way, and we all respect some of these other people as much as we do, we're like, oh man, I think what they say is correct. Like when Grady says something, Sandwich Punch says something, Ogre Abroad, Brown Gent, any of these people, I'm like, you know what? That does sound right. I've seen things in the past where they have been correct on things. And so we jump on the bandwagon. And when there's a small amount of people in our community that are jumping on the bandwagon with the amount of funds that we have collectively, then those markets really swing, right? So we need to be super careful about that, because as somebody said in the past, we're all just kind of trading around this small pool of money amongst ourselves right now. What, there's maybe 1,000 of us in the DFK community that are regular players. There's not very many of us at all. How many people are tuning in to some of these live streams? Maybe even only 3 or 4 or 500 people watch the YouTube videos on a regular basis, or are tuning in to some of these things. And so if you're talking about 500 people seeing a video or reading a Medium article or something, then that could really sway the market quite a bit. And then of course, other people that might not be reading those or seeing those, they see market trends, they're going to act accordingly there too, right? So Much Fun says, thank you for your content, Rock. Keep up the great work. Absolutely. So much thank you, actually, for all of your hard work. You do a lot for the community. Really appreciate all the stuff that you do. Thanks so much. I really appreciate you being here and hanging out and chat with us whenever you can. I know you're super busy. It's an honor to have you in chat anytime you can get in here. Let's see. TuneFed says, was a thoughtful thread, I thought. Yeah, absolutely. People understanding how many more tiers we're going to get pumped out from 10. Yeah, exactly. It's crazy. And as I was listening to that, I was thinking, damn, that is totally true. And of course, by the time anything was said, I was like, well, it's already past, it's already past the boat. However, as I'm looking at this right here, it looks like tiers have come back down quite a bit from that big spike. So somebody got wrecked, I think. If you bought at the top, that was not good. I do think, though, as Grady and all the guys were saying there, that even though the price has really dipped down a lot right now, personally, I don't think that takes away from what the guys were talking about in the fact that tiers are going to be something that are going to be very, way more valuable than we're thinking right now. One of the reasons I would be super cautious about buying a lot of them right now, even at the price right now, we need to be careful. I mean, seriously, people. There's a lot of us that are playing the game and that we all mean well and that we want to give good advice and that we see things through the clouds or through the fog that some others of us might not see. and we want to be helpful, but we all need to be really, really careful and understand that no matter what somebody says, even if it is 100% true, right? So they mention how many green eggs are out there. They mention exactly how many tiers it's going to cost to hatch all those eggs and all this kind of stuff. And even if that information is 100% accurate today, please, people, keep in mind that this game, the devs have said many times that this game is under development. Things can change. I've seen this not only in DeFi Kingdoms, but in other projects as well, where they are working and doing things. Just because tiers are underrated right now, and that we're going to need way more tiers to hatch even the number of green eggs that are out there right now, we cannot think and act that that is absolutely going to be the way that things are always are going to be, right? So we need to keep in mind that, you know, as somebody said, even on that live stream, I think it was Ogre that was saying, hey, we need to tell the dev team about this because this is going to be a problem. And I think either Grady or Brown Gent made some comment like, oh yeah, well, they already know, we already told them, and Hubert said it was fine and that's what they wanted. Maybe it is. Maybe Hubert does know exactly what's going on. I would assume so. I mean, Hubert's smart and puts a lot of thought into things, and I would think that Hubert is right on track and knows exactly what the game plan is. And if they want there to be a small amount of tiers that cannot support the number of green eggs that are out there, that's perfectly fine for them to do. That would be a good game dev strategy, right? I would love to make a game where on purpose I create a massive bottleneck in something that can really elevate the price or the value of something. That's an amazing way to structure a game, right? So if that's what he wants to do, that's fine. But it's also possible that he had a plan and then he changes his mind. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? Devs can change their mind all the time. Different things could happen. A different idea could come into play. And we need to all be well aware that just because it looks like there's not enough tiers for green eggs today doesn't mean that Hubert isn't going to change his mind, or someone's not going to be able to talk him out of it and say, oh, you know, this might not be a good idea for X, Y, and Z. And then maybe Hubert at some point would say, you know what? My intention was to have a lot less tiers, but with the outcry that I'm hearing about this, we're just going to go ahead and make a change anyway, and we're going to have more tiers out there, right? And then, of course, if you are buying 10 million tiers right now, thinking that tiers are going to go up to, you know, 5 cents each, then what happens if they never do? You buy 1 million tiers, hoping that they're going to go up to 5 cents, but then Hubert changes the game, and the price drops to 25% of what it is even right now. So please, be careful with all the stuff that you hear. The game is changing and can change at any time. And so we just want to be aware. We do not want to go ape in or all in into something, even if it is 100% correct today, right? Even if today, 100%, every piece of information out there is factually correct and makes sense. The game can change. I've had it change on me in the past with other projects, and we've even seen it change with these devs here in DFK. Not necessarily trying to hurt anybody, it's not what I'm saying, right? The devs here are very careful to try to make things as good for us as possible. But sometimes if you buy 1 million tiers today, and then the game devs say, you know what, to make the game better for y'all, we're going to need to increase the amount of tiers, then somebody could get hurt if they bought that 1 million tiers thinking it's going to double in value. That's right. But ultimately, I think the devs are making good changes to the game. Just be super careful and don't ape into something too quickly. But that's not to say that there still couldn't be a good possibility of tiers doubling or quadrupling in value. Still possible. Sir Beer says, pick your poison, Rock, and we shall pump it. No, please. As Ogre said, on the stream the other day, that would seem super, super shady if he had sold those tiers at the high. I would hate to do anything like that, or there to ever be any suspicion that I was involved with any kind of a pumping up. Even like, who is it? Sandwich Punch, or no, someone else was mentioning earlier, BitBoy. Was it BitBoy? How BitBoy felt good about something. Was it FTX? I don't even really remember all the details on that. But BitBoy felt good about either the FTT token or FTX. I don't know what it was, but gave some opinions. And then that thing, whether it was FTX or FTT tokens or whatever other thing it was that BitBoy was saying, crashed or had a problem or became insolvent or whatever, right? And then people started blaming him and said, hey, you shouldn't have said that or been so confident about that because, you know, it wrecked a lot of people. And I would hate to, and Sir Mir, I know you're just joking, so we don't need to get overly serious, but I just want to say out there that, yeah, I would hate to be, to even joke sometimes. I love to joke, but I got to be very careful being in a position like this on stream and all that kind of stuff, because even though I love to joke, it still would look awfully shady if I was to say something, we were to pump it up, and then dump it out real quick. Especially, guys, again, let's keep in mind that we're a small group of family here. We're a small group of friends that know each other. And if any one of us was to do something like that, we know who it is. It's like, hey, Rock did this, or, you know, whoever out in the community did this thing. And so-and-so and this other person lost a bunch of money with that. Man, I would feel so bad. Not just because I want to help y'all grow. I don't want to be taking money from you. Although I guess, you know, technically we're all taking money from each other right now anyway. But hopefully we're getting skilled. Hopefully we're using this time to get good. And then maybe when other randos come in and the game gets really, really big, I won't mind taking money from people that I don't know. But that is something that I do think about on a regular basis, is for me to make money in this project, other people have to be losing money. And man, that's the way life is. But I hope it's nobody that I know directly, right? Let people out there know this community loud and proud. Absolutely, I do like that, right? I do hope to have a good, strong community, and not just my community here, but all of the different communities in DeFi Kingdoms. I really hope that we get a lot of really good, strong communities out there. Ferb says, by the way, we officially made a lower low on Jade. Ooh, really? Let's check out Jade again. Man, I do think Jade is going to really get down. Oh, man, yeah. So even here, let's take a look at the last, let's say, 5-minute increments. Look at this. We're slowly bleeding out. I think it's going to get worse, guys. It's going to get worse. I think Jade is going to drop to probably, if I'm going to take a guess, maybe down to 11, 12, 13 cents. It could go lower. I mean, I'm not saying it can't go lower than that. But I think what's going to happen is Crystal's going to come up a little bit, right? And so as Jade comes down from 16, let's say Jade drops from 16 cents to 12 cents. Then I think that, like, that's a 4-cent difference, right? Jade, 4 cents, down from 16 to 12. Then I think that Crystal could easily come up 4 cents as well. So from 9 to 13 cents. What that would mean is that Jade is at 12 cents and Crystal is at 13 cents. And I think that that is probably close enough to equilibrium that would be easily doable. It is possible that Jade is going to drop lower, like 10% lower than that, which would be maybe another 2 cents. So maybe from 12 cents down to 10 cents. I mean, technically, if we wanted to crash Jade, we could. I mean, all of us, like you said, there's a small enough number of us here in the community that if we all got on a bandwagon, like if somebody in the community, someone respected, said something about Jade, we could easily crash it down to, 7 cents, right? Let's see. But yeah, it is interesting that we are now at a low for Jade. Let's come back to Jade and take another look at it real quick. So Jade's down to 16 cents. I think it could easily get down to 12 and possibly to 10. I wouldn't be overly surprised if Jade got down to 10 cents. But see, this is what I'm talking about. Even at 10 cents, Jade would not have lost 50% of its value. It still would not have lost 50% of its value if it goes down to 10 cents. And that's where I think that those high APRs aren't going to really matter too much. Like I said, I'd rather have money in a Jade pool, even if Jade loses 40% of its value. I'd really rather still be gaining or doubling my money in a month or 20 days. Still makes more sense to me than worrying about a 40% loss in the Jade token. Because if we do have a 40% loss in the Jade token, if we're working towards doubling our money in 20 days, then just extend that 20 days out to 30 days. A 50% longer amount of time, and that could easily make up for the extra loss in the percentage that Jade goes down. And even if, here's something else to think about too. Even if Jade does go down to 8 cents, let's say, I do not think that Jade and Crystal are going to stay at 8 cents once we get back into the bull market. So during the bear market, yeah, we could continue to see lower values of Jade and Crystal. But if you are just patient and hold on to those, then I think that Jade and Crystal will both be above 20 cents at some point once we're back into another bull run. I don't know how long it's going to take. Might have to wait 6 months. Might have to wait a year. 11% unlocked coming up in 2 days before the new year. Yes, guys. So that's something else. Also, that I'm doing. If we come and take a look at my harvest amount right here, I am not harvesting. Oops, this is not the right account. Well, I'm not harvesting in there either, but let's go back to the main account and I'll show you all in there. So the main account, and let's refresh this page. We are at, oops, let's mute that. We are at, I think, 9% right now. Harvest. So we're at 91%. So we've got 9% is unlocked right now. And we're about to go to 11% unlocked tomorrow night, right? So that's going to be a pretty big deal. I'm personally waiting to harvest until then. That might not necessarily be a great idea. It's possible that at this time, right, at these times of day, or these days of the week, December the 29th, January the 5th, January the 12th, it's very likely that on these particular days at midnight, or I shouldn't say at midnight, when the, I think it's at 4 p.m. Eastern time, somewhere right around in there, is when the epoch actually ends. Let's see what it is. At 4 p.m. Central time for me. So when that time rolls around and the epoch finally does change, it's very likely that you'll have a certain number of players, or maybe even certain players or certain amounts, withdraw from the gardens. They'll think, you know what? Having 600 Jade per minute emitted is a good amount. I want to keep the money in the pool. But when we drop down to only 480 jade per minute, or 420 jade per minute, or 360 jade per minute, at some point, some of these people are going to say, I need to pull the money out because it's not making enough, or I can do better or different or more things with that same money if I put it into another vehicle, right? Another financial vehicle, and not have it in this specific liquidity pool. And so these would be the times when those people are looking at the amounts to see, is it still worth it? Is it still worth it on this date? Is it still worth it on this date? And I think that at this time, either a couple hours before or a couple hours after, we're going to see a big drop off we're going to see big things happening in those garden pools. And when we do, if we were to see a massive sell-off of jade a couple hours before, a couple hours after these specific times, you see a massive sell-off of jade, that could really drop the price of jade to see a big dip down low. And so for me to hold on and not convert this out, I could be a little late to that and have to convert the jade after there's been a big dip. So I might be miscalculating with that. But personally, I think that the first couple of percentages that we get here for unlock is way worth it, to just wait that little bit and convert once that time has changed. That's my personal feeling on it. And I've done some math in the past that have shown that the differences in percentages in the first, like up to 85%, I think, like from the 97% that we start with down, or maybe 95%, down to the 85%, I think those are times when you should probably wait a little bit until, if you've just got, especially a day or two, just wait to cash those out. But that might not be good for everybody to do. All times lows, not just a lower low, Ferp says. Yeah, that is true, right? So as we're looking at jade, this is absolutely all-time low for jade. Absolutely right. Yeah. Yeah. And as we zoom out from that, yeah, jade's never been this low before. I still think we're going to go down, like I said, to 12 cents easy, 10 cents could be, 8 cents possible. I mean, I guess technically go down even lower than that, but 12 cents would not surprise me at all. We started a P&D private Discord, $50 a month to join. Oh, interesting. You're asking a question. Are we starting a P&D private Discord? So much. Is that a question, or are you making a statement? Only $50 a month to join? Is that a way that we're gonna gain some funds here? I do need a way to make money, guys. It's getting kind of serious. I don't know if I've mentioned it or not. It was a joke. Gotcha. Yeah. I don't know if how many of y'all have heard me say it before. I'm living off of savings right now. I have been for a little while. But we're getting to a point where it's starting to get a little serious, and I might need to start going back to my normal teaching job. We'll have to see how that goes. But yeah, a way, if we could get $50 a month from some people to join from Sandwich Punch's joke, then yeah, that would be nice. 50 bloaters and I'm in. Absolutely right. Super happy if we can sustain around 10 cents. Yeah, I would be really happy. So it's talking about the game in a long-term basis, right? So I'm pretty sure that we all recognize that a base amount, in fact, it's been a little while since I've looked at hero prices, guys. Let's come into the tavern and let's see what heroes are running at right now. Buy heroes, floor price, reset, floor price is 29 jade. Okay, so I think that most of us have a pretty firm understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, anybody in chat, but I have a pretty firm understanding that hero floor price should always be probably like 33 of whatever power token it is, right? Whether it's 33 crystal or 33 jade or 33, you know, whatever other realms we're going to have, whatever other blockchains we're going to be in, it's going to be about 33 of that power token. And my thinking behind that is the fact that for a Gen 1 10 of 10 to be summoning, which is kind of like a normal summoning rate, it's 16 power tokens per hero. 16 plus 16 is 32, so you've got a 32 power token cost as a minimum. And then some people are probably going to want to make a little bit of money with those sell, so they're probably going to sell it for, if it costs them 32, then they're going to sell it for 33. That is my understanding of what sets the price of the hero floor, right? Unless I'm totally off. I think that's where we get prices close to 32, 33. Sometimes we see prices lower than that, and I think that those are good deals, right? So I think 29 is a pretty good deal. And if I had some extra funds, I would always snatch up heroes that are under 31, I guess. 31 power tokens. I think I would always snatch those up, right? If I had any extra funds for that. So if we know, or if I'm correct in that, then let's just assume that we've got a 32 token price of floor heroes. And let's say that the power token is 10 cents, right? That means that heroes in general would be $3.20 for floor heroes on a regular ongoing basis. And honestly, guys, I would love that. I would love, love, love to see this game have all of our power tokens remaining around 10 cents. And I know that for some of us that are like, oh man, but how are we going to make money or something like that? I think there's so many ways to make money rather than the power token itself having to go up in value. We've got Jewel going to go up in value. You have heroes that are going to go up in value. You're going to have games that you can play to earn, even like Fight Club, where you're earning other things, you're earning rewards, you're earning other stuff. There's so many other ways to earn money. You do not need the power token itself to 4x or 10x or 100x in value. I think that's just going to hurt the game. My personal feeling. I think a lot of y'all agree with me with that too. Some of y'all might not. I would love to see a permanent 10-cent evaluation on all of our power tokens, because if that means that floor heroes are going to remain at $3.20, that means that so many more and new people are going to feel comfortable getting into the game. We're going to have, this is the way to have millions of players into the game. We're not going to have millions of players if Jade and Crystal are at $5 each, right? And then you've got a 32 Crystal hero at $5 each, where it's going to cost $160 to buy one single hero. What are we going to be able to do with one single hero? I'm going to get bored. I think most people are going to get bored of the game if you got one hero. You're going to need a collection of heroes with different stats and different capabilities and different other stuff to make the game more interesting, right? I think right now, more of us are able to buy heroes, so more of us have been buying heroes, and we're seeing, at least I am specifically, I think many of us are, that when I started DeFi Kingdoms early this year, and I think the first hero that I was buying was like $200 or something like that. And I just bought one, and I only had one hero for the first few months because it was so expensive. But I wanted to try it out. And it's true, there wasn't a lot that you could do with heroes back in, March this year anyway. Maybe once we have PvP, even one hero would be okay. I say okay to play with. But I think most of us realize that we really need 5 or 10 or 20 heroes to make the game a lot more interesting and fun. And you're not going, most people aren't going to be able to afford 10 heroes at $160 per hero, right? But if we can have them at $3.20, it would be easy to buy 10 heroes. Just 32 bucks. You could even buy 100 heroes for $320, which I think is still extremely affordable for a lot of people, right? Over time, even if it takes you a couple of months to be able to put in $320 of heroes, ultimately you can see value, you can see that your hero pool increasing over months. I think that would be fun. So remaining about 10 cents per power token, I feel, is a great way to sustain that. I would love to see the devs doing whatever is required for the tokenomics to keep power token itself at 10 cents. I would love that. I think we're going to have millions of players in the game if we can do that. We're not going to have millions of players if heroes are $300 each. Okay. Jack Hoff, hey, welcome on in. Jack says, if the amount of money in the game grows, then everybody wins. If it always goes up, then nobody loses. Oh, that's a Ponzi scheme, right? So where's the money coming from? So here's one of the things that we also need to keep in mind when we're talking about the game. The money's got to come from somewhere. Here is the only way that I see that we don't have a Ponzi scheme and we continue to be able to get money. Here's the way, the only way that I can see this happening. And that is, let's say there's just 100 people on the entire planet. Let's just make it real easy, the math and all the other stuff. If there's 100 people on the entire planet, right? Once 100 people put in their money into the game, right? Then how does the value go up more than that, right? If everybody on the planet has put in all of their money, then how can the value, or how can more go in there, and more and more and more? This is an easy way to see if something's a Ponzi scheme or not, right? So if your game requires, and I'm not saying that this is the way DFK is set up, so don't get me wrong. I'm not saying DFK is a Ponzi scheme. But what I'm saying is, right, if anything is set up in such a way that it requires new people to come in for the value to go up, because the people that got in early need to sell for a higher price, then you need new people to come in and buy it at the higher price. And then when those people want to sell it at a higher price, then you need more new people to come in and buy it at an even higher price. And then you need more new people to come in and buy it even at a higher price, right? So that's a Ponzi scheme, and we don't want it to be that. And there's easy ways that we can have DFK not be a Ponzi scheme, but we need to be careful that that's not the way that things are set up, right? Because there's going to be a limit to the amount of money that comes into the game and amount of people. I mean, once we get 7 billion people, once we get everyone on the entire planet playing DeFi Kingdoms, of course we know it's not going to happen, but if we did, have 7 billion, 8 billion people on the entire planet playing DeFi Kingdoms, then where are the new people coming in that are going to put the money in so we can sell it for a higher price? Not going to happen. If it always goes up, then nobody loses. It is true. If it always goes up, then nobody loses. But there's going to be a limit somewhere, because there's not an infinite amount of money in the global economy, right? Let's say everyone takes all their money out of stocks and all their money, they sell all their gold, they sell all their stocks, they sell all of everything, they sell their houses, they sell their wives and husbands and, you know, all the stuff that Grady says is his joke also. Let's say that everyone sells everything they possibly have and all that money goes into DeFi Kingdoms, right? Well, is that the max limit then, a value for DeFi Kingdoms? Where's the more money that's going to go in there to make it go up even more, right? So here's what needs to happen. Here's the solution, and that is not everyone is going to make money from DeFi Kingdoms. That's it. Some people are going to pay money into DeFi Kingdoms and never get that money back. That's what's got to happen. Absolutely. That's what has to happen. Some people are going to, whether you want it to happen or not, right? So if some people are pulling out money on a monthly basis, so let's say as an example, let's come over here to the gardens and just take a look at what we've got going on here in the gardens. We have got some harvestability here, and let's say that at some point I am making 60 jade a day. Let's say I'm making 60 jade a day and I want to retire on this. So I, as a human being, I need to pay my mortgage. I need to buy food. I need to put food on the table. I need to pay my electricity bill, and I don't have any other job right at this moment. I need to get money from this game. I want to play this game, and this is what I want to do for work. And so how am I going to pay my electricity bill with the income coming in from DeFi Kingdoms, right? So I'm making a certain amount of jade a day. Let's say I'm making 60 jade a day. And then what has to happen? I've got to go into the trader and I have got to convert that 60 jade times, let's say, 20 cents that it is right now. So I'm making $12 a day right now. That's not enough to buy a whole lot where I live. In third world countries, maybe it is. So then we expect more money to come into this in the future. Well, let's say that we're already at our max number of people. Let's say that already right now, everyone on the entire planet is already in the DeFi Kingdoms. Let's just say that that's where we're at. So if everyone on the entire planet is already in DeFi Kingdoms, how's it going to go up more than this? Well, let's also, tell you what, let's readjust this. And let's say that right now, I am making $400 a month. It's not enough to pay my mortgage. Or tell you what, let's even make it a little bit more interesting. Let's say that I'm making $3,000 a month from DeFi Kingdoms. I'm making so much jade. I've got so much jewel. I've got so much of everything. We've been in the game for a couple of years now, let's say. And I'm making $3,000 a month. How many of us are making $3,000 a month? You want to say all of us are paying all of our bills with DeFi Kingdoms? So there's 1,000 of us, right? So we take, let's say I'm making $3,000 a month, and then 1,000 of us are also making $3,000 every month. So that's and I'm pulling that money out of DeFi Kingdoms. I'm pulling out $3,000 every month, and 1,000 other people are also pulling out $3,000 every month to pay their bills, right? That means that $3 million a month are getting pulled out of DeFi Kingdoms. So that means that $3 million a month are coming from somewhere. Who's putting in $3 million in a month for me to be able to take out $3 million every month? Or not me, but the 1,000 of us, for me to be able to personally take out 3,000, and for 1,000 more of us to be able to do that. Where's that 3 million of input coming in for me to be able to take it out, right? So that's a somewhat exaggerated example, but it's just to show that money has to be coming from somewhere, right? And so Mr. Turtlebutt says the burn mechanics will be the engine. Crafting or feeding, leveling, the drop rates aren't too fast. We should be fine. Mr. Turtlebutt, you are right. But here's the deal. If I and 1,000 other people are pulling out $3 million every month, it does not change the fact, like, so the burn mechanics. You say, oh, the burn mechanics are going to do it. That's possible, right? It is possible for the burn mechanics to burn $3 million worth of tokens in a month. That is possible to do if the game is that profitable, if the game is that popular, right? That so many people are putting in. But here's the thing that we need to make sure that we don't forget. You are saying because crafting or feeding or leveling, right? Those things are the burn mechanics, right? Here's the thing. If someone is crafting or feeding or leveling, they are paying, right? They are paying something. And at some point, you're going to be paying something that you don't have. Somebody, if it's not you, it's going to be the other person, is going to be paying something that they don't have. There's going to be somebody out there that does not have enough to level up their hero, that does not have enough to craft, or does not have enough to feed their pet. So they're going to sell. They're going to sell something, or they're going to put more fiat into the game to be able to buy the items or the food or whatever it is that they need to do. So more money is going to have to come in. So somebody's putting money in that they then spend on feeding and crafting and leveling. So then they put money in and spend it. That means if they're having to put more money in, that means that the game is not making enough for them to do that on their own. They're having to put new money in, right? And so some of us are going to be able to pull out more than we put in, right? Some of us are going to be able to do that. And as Mr. Turtlebutt says, I think hardcores over time will grow into whales like Grady. I think that's true also, right? I think that's true also. Let's say that there's 1,000 of us that become whales, right? Let's say there's 1,000 people really playing DeFi Kingdoms right now, right? We can look at videos on YouTube. Let's see if I can pull up. I was watching an interesting video the other day, turning plastic gloves into hot sauce. This guy's a chemist. Let me copy and paste this guy's link. He's got some really interesting videos. Nile Red. And in fact, I'm not going to spend a lot of time here. The one I watched the other day was pure making the stinkiest chemical known to man. And he's really got some interesting stuff going. Anyway, I was watching this video the other day, and then I started watching turning plastic gloves into hot sauce. And he's doing it with chemical reactions, crazy stuff. Anyway, what I really wanted to do right now is I wanted to show that there's a lot of people, like, let's just take a look at Grady, for example. Grady. Crypto Grady. Whoops. Crypto Grady is not the first name that pulls up when I just type in Grady? What? How is that even possible? So let's find a look at Crypto Grady and look at some videos right here. So we have 509 views, 415 views, 350 views, 498 views. So look at this. For all of us, like Grady, I would say, is one of the top content providers in DeFi Kingdoms. And if his videos are only getting 500 views, then how many people are playing DeFi Kingdoms? In other words, if you're not watching Grady, what the heck are you doing in DeFi Kingdoms, right? So with this, I'm going to make an assumption that we've got maybe 500 active players. It doesn't matter how many wallets. I know Grady has a bunch of wallets. I have some wallets. A lot of us have a lot of wallets. I would not say that the number of active wallets is indicative of how many players there are. And yes, it is possible that there's some people that just want to play the game, like my sister, for example. I don't think my sister is watching any videos from anybody, but she's in some liquidity pools. She's not really playing the game, but she is in some liquidity pools, and she's doing a little bit of something right now, right? So there are people indeed that are playing and that are not watching videos. But most of the people are definitely who are playing the game. Most of the people who are legitimately playing the game and trying to get good are definitely watching the videos. So I think that I can be fairly accurate to say that there's about 500 active players. And some of those active players might have 10, 20, possibly even 100 wallets that they're trying to do. They're trying to diversify their money with. Who the heck knows, right? But there's probably not more than about 500 active hardcore players. So here's the thing. If we've got 500 players, right? And over here, we have said that for 1,000 players, so only doubling the number of active players, even if we say that there's 2 times more players that are actively watching DFK videos. So let's say there's 1,000 active players. And if each of those active players plans to become a whale and pull $3,000 US dollars of value out of DeFi Kingdoms every month. In other words, that's what it would take for me to pay my bills. And actually, to be honest, I need more than that. $3,000 a month is just about enough to pay my mortgage. That's not including food expense for vehicle. Again, it costs a lot of money to live in a first world country, especially where I'm at. So some people can live on less, I know. But some people living in New York and California and some other places probably have to pay more, spend more than $3,000 a month. But let's just say that there's 1,000 people, 1,000 of us whales, that are going to get big, and we're pulling out $3,000 a month. So $3 million a month is coming out of the game. Out of the game, not being circulated around. So, Mr. Turtlebutt, when you're saying you're up to 67 heroes, I think Hardcore Games will go into whales like Grady. That's true. If the game is really in depth like Magic the Gathering, we're golden, lasts a long time. Yeah, but the thing is, what I'm getting at is that some people that play the game are going to be putting money in and not getting money out. That's the real big thing that I want to get across, right? And some people have to be happy with that. This is the other thing too. They have to be happy with it, right? Mr. Turtlebutt says, judging from my current rewards, there's definitely a ton of people playing. Like I said, I'm going to guess a maximum of 1,000 people playing. You make such and such money and you're getting like 13 to 14 Joule a day. There's more ways than 500, or there's way more than 500, I guarantee it. Mr. Turtlebutt, how can you guarantee that there's more than 1,000 people playing the game? Now, I do know there's more people playing than watching these videos. I'm going to say 1,000, right? Double this. But how can you guarantee that? Because if Grady has already said he's got at least six accounts, because I think in one of his recent videos, he said that he's divided a certain amount of Joule into 6 different accounts that he tried to put into S-Joule to have a greater chance at winning a Gen0. Do you know the names of all 6 of his accounts? It's not Grady 1 and Grady 2 and Grady 3, probably. Would it alarm you to hear that I have a number of accounts also? And I've got a few friends that I help. So when you look at active wallets, if there's like 1,000 active wallets, then there's not 1,000 human players, right? So that's something that we need to look at. You'd say around See, so Fish Food says there's around 1,000 to 1,500 very active players. So Fish Foods, why do you say that? Maybe 2,000 casual players, some just checking in the bear. Why do you say that there's 1,000 active players? Is that the number of active wallets? Because if that's true, then there's less players. Because many of us have more than one wallet address. And we're playing actively in those multiple wallets. So if there's 1,000 active wallets, there's less than 1,000 human players, right? Mr. Drillbit says that's a ton of gas running through. That is true, Mr. Drillbit. That is a ton of gas, which is bringing us money. That's true. But here's what's going to happen. If people are pulling out more money than's going in, then eventually you're going to run dry, right? That's what I'm getting at. If we have 1,000 active players who are pulling out $3,000 US a month, and if we're pulling out $3 million US every month for just 1,000 players, then where's that 3 million coming from? It's got to come into the game somehow for us to be pulling it out of the game, right? So as we're pulling it out, people have got to be putting money in. And so what's going to happen, or what has to happen down the road, is some people are going to need to be buying heroes. They're going to need to be putting money into the game. They're going to be buying heroes. They're going to be buying food. They're going to be buying whatever it is. They're putting money in. And they are not going to be, they're going to be happy playing the game and not winning. That's what it's going to have to be. If there are going to be some of us that are going to be pulling out certain amounts of money every month, then there are going to be other people on the planet that are going to put money in, are going to be putting more in than they take out, right? And that can be fine. There have been many, and let me first make sure to clarify very strongly that I'm not saying that DeFi Kingdoms is going to fail. I'm not saying that at all one bit. Some of you might be saying, oh, well, if more money has to come in than comes out, that eventually it's going to fail. DeFi Kingdoms is going to fail. No, it's not what I'm saying, right? Not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is that for DeFi Kingdoms to succeed, there will need to be some people that play the game, a certain amount of people that play the game that are happy not making money from the game. In other words, it needs to be fun enough just to play where they're paying to play and they're not reaping rewards from that. And that's perfectly fine. There's many free-to-play games out there. In fact, Forge of Empires was a game that I was talking about quite a bit from my Forge of Empire days. I haven't played it in a while. I still have got all my links, where I was paying $400 a month to play this free-to-play game. And the reason was because I was in a top guild. And to be in this top guild, to be a top player in that top guild, it just required that I was not only playing at the top of my game, but that I was feeding my empire enough to do it, right? And I was perfectly happy. I mean, in a way, I wish that I didn't have to pay that much, right? But I was happy paying that because I was having fantastic entertainment value. There are other people that looked at me like I was crazy paying $400 a month to play a free-to-play game. Like, well, that's crazy. You should never pay that much. And some people never paid anything into the game. They would say, I'm only playing the free part of the game, never paying anything in. And they had fun too, right? They had fun just fine. And there were other people that I knew that could afford less, and they were fine paying less, and they paid maybe $10 a month or $20 or $30 a month, into this free-to-play game, and they did whatever $10 a month could afford them to do, and they were happy with that. But what I'm trying to say right now is, as long as the game is fun, there are certain amounts of people that will pay more or less into a game where they do not need to make anything. And that there are people like that. There are plenty of people that will pay into a game and never expect or hope to get anything out of it. And those are the players that we need in DeFi Kingdoms. We need DeFi Kingdoms to be such a fun game that people will pay into it. And those people that pay into it, that's where we, those of us that want to be pulling $3 million a month out of DeFi Kingdoms, that's where we're going to be getting it from. Some people are going to pay into it, some people are going to be pulling out, right? That's what needs to happen for DeFi Kingdoms to become sustainable for long periods of time. It needs to be fun enough, which is easy to do, right? I think DeFi Kingdoms can easily become such a fun game that people are happy to pay and never get rewards, financial rewards out of the game. Easy to do, right? Very possible. There's plenty of games out there that people pay into all the time and they don't get any money out. It's fine. It's just that is what needs to happen, and we cannot take a blind eye or be an ostrich and stick our heads in the sand about that. If some of us are going to be pulling out certain amounts of money every month to pay our bills, and we expect that to happen, right? Because here's something else that could happen. If I, as an example, if I don't think that this game is fun enough to be paying into it on a regular basis, and if I demand that I make $500 a month or $1,000 a month or $3,000 a month, because it takes time, right? If I have to take my hours to play the game, and I'm trading my hours for dollars, and I'm looking at this game like a job, which some people in the Philippines and Thailand and all this stuff do, and I would look at this game as a job. If I could make $3,000 a month, I would dedicate full-time hours, 9 to 5, whatever it is, full-time hours to this game if I could make $3,000 a month from it, right? I think a lot of us would, right? If this game, if I was only able to make $200 a month out of this game, then I could not look at this game as a job. I could look at it as fun, and I could be happy making $200. $200 is better than zero. In Forge of Empires, I made $0 a month. I made $0 a month, but I had a lot of fun, and it was worth it. It was worth the trade-off because of the amount of fun that I had to pay the money in and not get any money out. And I would be fine with that with DeFi Kingdoms also. If DeFi Kingdoms was a super fun game, or even if it wasn't necessarily that fun, but I was still able to make $100 or $200 a month, then I might look at that as a good, fun thing to do on the side, and I'll play a few hours of it here and there, and I'll make a little bit of money. Yay, I made $200 this month from this game that I enjoy playing anyway. It's not going to pay any bills, but it's a fun game, and I get a little bit of extra Christmas spending money, or, I can go out to eat a couple of times, or, buy a little gift for somebody every so often with that little bit of extra money that I made, right? And that could be fun. But some people are going to look at this as a full-time job. Let's say that these people in Thailand and Philippines and so on, if they're able to make $400 a month, if they're able to pay their bills and convert that to a job, then they'll be doing that. That's what their full-time job will be. If they're not able to do that, then they need to spend their time doing something else to make the money. So we'll have players drop off. If it's not a fun game, and if the majority of us, so if these, let's take again someone from the Philippines who's trying to make a living at DeFi Kingdoms, and if there's some of us like Mr. Turtlebutt as an example, and Mr. Turtlebutt is pulling out $3,000 a month from the game, and somebody over in Thailand is not able to pull out what they need because Mr. Turtlebutt is pulling out all the money, right? Because there's only so much money to be made per month. And so if some of us are pulling out all of the larger amounts, that the smaller fish in the pool don't have enough to survive. And if this person over in Thailand can't make enough, then they're not going to play. So we lose a player, and we lose another player, and we lose another player. And eventually those people are not putting more money in. In other words, some people are going to say, if I'm putting in $100 a month, I need to make $200 back. And then they're not putting their money in at all. And at some point, unless we have a fun game, then I think we're going to be in a situation where we're just juggling around the money that we have with the few people that are here, or again, turning into a Ponzi scheme where we're hoping that new people are going to put in new money, right? Mr. Drillbutt says, Mr. Drillbutt is a hodler. I bet. Crypto Grady in the house. Oh, baby. Hey, Grady, how you doing, man? We've had some very interesting topics. I miss you, too. I saw your video with Brown Gent and Ogre Abroad the other day. Amazing video. Thank you so much for doing that. Loved watching that. Let's see. Maybe 2,000 casual players, so I'm just checking in to see if it lives, the variant. Let's see. During the last Gen0 drawings, there were around 5,000 wallets or something, so I'm guessing that amount. Fishy Foods, I would say no. We know that Crypto Grady has a number of wallets that he's used. I have a number of wallets that I've used. I know a few other people that have a number of wallets that they used. So those, if we say that each person has 5 wallets, then that's only 1,000 players. And I do not think it's unreasonable to say that some people have way more than 5 wallets. And that means that some people can have less. So if you, Fishy Foods, only has 1 wallet, that's fine. If somebody else has 10 wallets or 9 wallets, their 9 wallets plus your 1 wallet is 10. Divided by 2 people, it's a total of 5 wallets each, right? One person with 9 wallets plus your 1 wallet is 10 total wallets. Divided by 2 people is 5 wallets each. And so really you only have 2 players with 10 wallets between them. So I do not think that the number of active wallets for the drawing is accurate to find the number of actual humans players. I think there's a lot of people that are taking advantage of the fact that you can only win 1 Gen0 per wallet. You've got to be kidding me. If you honestly think that there's whales out there that are playing with only 1 wallet and they're only giving themselves the ability to win in 1 wallet. You've got $1 million and you're only going to play in 1 wallet and give yourself 1 chance in 1 wallet to win a Gen0. No, you're going to take that $1 million and you're going to split that up into 50 different wallets and you're going to, quote, play in the 50 different wallets, right? So no, that is not correct. 5,000 active wallets for Gen0, it does not mean 5,000 players. Absolutely not. Or something I'm guessing around that amount. No, disagree fully. I have a friend like your sister who plays, and actually, yeah. So I do agree, absolutely, that there are people out there that are playing the game, or I should say that are doing something in the game that might not be particularly active. I absolutely agree with that, absolutely. Oh, that sounds so awesome. Congrats on the wonderful Gen 1. Yep. Let's see. Just catching up, Zabu says. Crypto Keith in the house. Step Radar says there's about 5,000 daily active wallets. As I just said, absolutely zero possibility that means that there's 5,000 daily active players. I would guess that there's an average of 5 wallets per player, because I know for a fact that there are some whales in this game. There are whale people out there that have way more than 5 or even 10 wallets. I know that for a fact. Yeah, so daily active wallets absolutely does not mean daily active human players. Let's see. I liked Foe, didn't pay much except for birthday. Yeah, Forge of Empires, yeah. You didn't pay much, yeah. So I agree. There were a lot of players that did not pay much of anything into Forge of Empires, and they had a lot of fun still, right? It would be better if we could win money from that. I would have loved, in fact, I still have a pretty extensive city. I think I logged in here a couple of weeks ago into Forge of Empires. I used to be in the top 300 players of the entire game, or at least the entire server or whatever, when I was really heavily playing a couple of years ago. I was in the top 300. But since I haven't been playing in about a year, I think I've dropped to, I think I'm now under 5,000. So I'm below the 5,000th level player now. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, if you don't play and you're not paying, you quickly drop off from the top of the list and a lot of those things. Cebu says, I'm doing well percent-wise, selling to G-Gens already in the game, so there's an opportunity without new money. Yeah, see, and that's part of what it is. For you to win right now with no new money coming in, and that's the way it's always going to be. It's always going to be like that. Once there's a certain number of people in the game, for any of us to win, other people are, I wouldn't say losing, but other people are paying to play, where others of us are maybe playing to earn or playing to win, right? Some of us are going to be taking more value out, and others are going to be paying more value in. It's just the way it's going to be. And some people are going to have to be happy with that. Some people are going to have to be happy with playing DeFi Kingdoms just because it's fun, and they will never get out more than they put in. They're always going to put more money in than they get out. It's just going to have to be that way. Fortnite made over $9 billion in revenue its first 2 years, and it's a free game, right? Where did that $9 billion come from? People were paying into it, right? For other people to be taking out. So if DeFi Kingdoms could have enough input, right? Let's just think of it with real easy numbers and compare it with this. Let's say there's 9 billion people on the planet, and every person on the planet wanted to play DeFi Kingdoms, and they all put $1 in to DeFi Kingdoms, right? Everybody put $1 into DeFi Kingdoms. And so $9 billion came into DeFi Kingdoms in that year. Right? Same $9 billion. There's 9 billion people on the planet. They all put in $1. Then DeFi Kingdoms brought in $9 billion. Now, if everybody pulls out $1, if everybody is able to take out $1, then that $9 billion that came in gets taken out, right? But then everybody made exactly the same. If there's only $9 billion that have come in, and one person makes $2, then somebody does not get their dollar back. And again, that's fine. Like I'm not saying that that's going to be a problem for DeFi Kingdoms. I'm just saying some people are going to have to be okay with that, right? Brown Gent just went live. Ooh, wow. In fact, that's good. If Brown Gent is live, you definitely want to tune in to that. I'm really meaning to end my stream at 6 p.m. So it's good that Brown Gent went live. Thanks, Grady, for coming in and sharing that. Thanks for the head up, Crypto Grady. You're the best. Absolutely. Let's see. Grady was right. Absolutely. Or Grady is. Might be better. Bean, yo, Rock, how you doing, Bean? TuneFed says, I am only TuneFud in Discord. Grady says, glad I got you. Absolutely right, Grady. In fact, if Brown Gent is live right now, I'm going to say that's a good place to go over to. I've kind of said everything that I wanted to say for today. There's a lot more going to happen tomorrow. Love you, Grady. Thanks for being here. Thanks for everybody to be here. Let's see. Can we check out Brown Gent real quick? It looks like About Life Podcast was live also pretty soon, or pretty recently. Is About Life Podcast still live? Brown Gent was live, but he is not live anymore. Oh, maybe he is. Maybe he's going live soon.
A component of it being invested.
Ah, looks like he is live. Here, let me drop this link in the chat for y'all. Woohoo, guys. All right. I should be back tomorrow, guys. Go check out Brown Gent. Hello, hello. And say hi to him, all that other kind of good stuff.
Investing, and by being invested, you're able to fund.
Yep, and we'll keep up. We'll catch up with all that kind of stuff soon.
Gen0 Heroes.
All right. Anyway, guys, thanks for being here. Thanks for being on the stream. I think until tomorrow, that's it for me. Rock out.